Chapter 0021_fraud. Asshole. Why are you here? What have you been doing? Luhan and Tsunade spoke almost at the same time. Both of them had the intention to strike first, but obviously, in terms of identity, Luhan was at an absolute disadvantage. Tsunade's expression became thoughtful, and then he was half smiling. Stepping lightly, Tsunade held his delicate chin in one hand, and walked around Luhan in circles, watching Luhan up and down for a while, as if he was admiring something strange. Luhan looked a little hairy, and looked down at himself again. There were a lot of blood stains on his clothes. Just after killing people, the blood hadn't dried up yet. Little liar, tell me honestly. Tsunade turned around and sat on the chair, looking at Luhan with interest. I think this may be a misunderstanding. Luhan said dully. Edit, you continue to make it up. If it wasn't for knowing Luhan, Tsunade would have done it long ago, and now she just wants to ask what happened. I'll give you a chance to tell the story. You better pray that you can convince me, otherwise I'll arrest you. Cough, I promise that what I'm going to say next is true. If I tell a lie, the sky will be struck by thunder. Luhan swore and sat across from Tsunade. That's right, someone was going to kill me just now, because I found out his identity. A whole new story. Luhan described himself as a brave and resourceful young man. At noon this day, the witty Han was eating noodles at a noodle restaurant, and suddenly noticed a strange figure who was not a resident of Konoha, and looked strangely. After that, the witty Han followed this weird guy. Based on all possible clues, Han suspected that this guy was a foreign scout, but unfortunately, before Han could report, he was discovered by the weird guy. The two fought hard in the woods, and finally Han won. That's it, Luhan said and looked at Tsunade with a pure face. Fortunately, that's just a genin, not my opponent. Otherwise, you may never see each other again. Where's the corpse? Tsunade looked cold and didn't seem to believe Luhan's words. Destroy the corpse and destroy the traces. Han was helpless again. I can't possibly report it to anyone, then my matter will be exposed, and I can't explain it at all. Take me to the battle site. Tsunade stood up straight. In the woods. Tsunade and Luhan appeared one after another out of thin air. Tsunade's sense of smell was very keen. As a medical ninja, she smelled a faint smell of blood and some anxiety at the first moment of appearance. There, Luhan pointed to the front. I burned the body. Recently I practiced Kaden, fire style. The ground has been cleaned, but there are still some traces. Tsunade nodded and circled back and forth around here. She did see some battle traces, but because Luhan dealt with the traces, Tsunade could no longer infer anything from these traces, and could only confirm that a battle had indeed occurred. Little liar, what you just said is true. Tsunade appeared in front of Luhan like a ghost, very close. Sister Tsunade is so pretty. Don't glib and answer my questions. Deceive people and kill the whole family. Luhan, who has no family, said indifferently. Tsunade stared at Luhan's eyes, and gave up after a while. Although her sixth sense told her that this kid was unreliable, she couldn't see the problem. Has anything happened recently? Tsunade asked again. It always felt like someone was following me. Well, then what? No more. Okay, I see. Tsunade separated from Luhan in the woods, and now she felt that it was necessary to report Han's situation to the third-generation Hokage. Just when Luhan returned home, Tsunade also came to a simple and grand mansion. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was in his prime, sat cross-legged on the futon under the tree. In front of him, a Scarface ninja was reporting something. Tsunade appeared out of thin air, and the Scarface ninja paused. Seeing that it was Tsunade, he go on. Originally, we didn't pay much attention to this matter. It was speculated that there were traces of private fights between ninjas in the village, but judging from the situation of the past 2 days, I am afraid it is not so simple. Scarface ninja continued. According to statistics, in the past 5 or 6 days, a total of no less than 50 suspicious fighting marks have been found in the village, 20 of which have been identified. which can be determined to be conflicts or discussions among the villagers, and 30 other traces, like it appeared out of thin air. The victim could not be found. The traces have been professionally handled, and it is impossible to speculate on the situation of the battle. Because Scarface was reporting to Sarutobi Hiruzen, Tsunade was standing by and listening, but when he listened, he felt something was wrong. Is there any blood? Are there any mysterious deaths or disappearances in the village? Tsunade asked suddenly. Scarface glanced at Tsunade, and said respectfully, "Go back to Lord Tsunade. I can confirm that there is blood, but I can only smell the blood, but I can't see the blood. No one in the village has mysteriously disappeared or died recently." Yeah, Tsunade nodded, and the figure of a certain kid naturally flashed in his mind. Fraud. Asshole. Tsunade is almost certain that this matter must have something to do with Luhan. After Scarface finished reporting, he disappeared in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. A troubled time. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed worriedly, then looked at Tsunade again. Is the mission going well? It's going well, it's just. What? Orochimaru kills innocent people again. Well, I see, I'll admonish him. Sarutobi Hiruzen said this every time, but in fact he acquiesced to Orochimaru's behavior. After all, it was a special period. If you look ahead and look back, you may fail the mission. Tsunade is too kind, and Orochimaru's ruthlessness compliments Tsunade. Tsunade also understood the teacher's thoughts. Full of powerlessness, he hesitated for a while, but still didn't say anything about Luhan. Because of new doubts. Chilled wooden house. Take a bath. The skin is good. Take a bath. The skin is good. Luhan was happily taking a bath in the tub, when suddenly he felt a dark shadow in front of him. The fragrance was blowing, and Han felt his neck was strangled. Little devil, I'll give you one last chance. Tsunade said, watching Luhan bite Kiba and gnashing his teeth. Chapter 0022_bet with Tsunade. Luhan was forced. What the hell? Is it so sudden? Didn't you see people taking a shower? Tsunade frowned at Luhan, his expression as if he was going to swallow Luhan alive. Luhan opened his mouth. It was difficult to speak. He had to point to his neck and motion Tsunade to take his hand away. I warn you, if you dare to lie to me again, you will die. Tsunade said viciously, slowly taking his hand away. Cough. Luhan rubbed his neck and looked at Tsunade with a look of hesitating to speak. Come on, how many things are you hiding from me? Tsunade sounded like a resentful little daughter-in-law. Just talk about it here. It's not very convenient. Luhan gestured to Tsunade with a look of embarrassment. Tsunade followed Luhan's gaze for a moment, and immediately averted his eyes as if he had seen something dazzling. Luhan, who was soaked in the tub, spread out his hands and said, let's go out first. Little devil, give you 3 minutes, hurry up and get out of here. Tsunade threatened again fiercely, and then got up and walked out. Luhan looked back, and when Tsunade walked to the door, Yuhi's ears were pierced. Well, the outward calm is just an illusion. Where is the problem? Luhan was puzzled, jumped out of the tub, and thought while putting on his clothes. In the room, Tsunade sat at the table, poured himself a glass of water, and drank silently. The Yuhi color on his face faded after a while. In other words, the age of 12 is not too young. If in the Sengoku period, there were many people who got married at the age of 13 or 14, it was really not young. Bastard kid, Tsunade muttered as he bit Kiba's teeth. Sister Tsunade, what's the matter? You scared me. Luhan walked into the room neatly dressed, looking puzzled. He really didn't know what Tsunade wanted to know. How many people have you killed recently? Tsunade squinted at Luhan with a gloomy face. What do you mean? Luhan sat across from Tsunade, looking like he didn't understand. Clap clap. Half a glass of water was splashed on Luhan's face. Luhan closed his eyes subconsciously and raised his hand to wipe his face. Bang! Tsunade slammed the water glass on the table. His face turned Yuhi angry. Bastard. Be honest. How many people have you killed recently? Don't lie to me again. Anbu's ninjas are already investigating this matter, and the last few days at least 30 suspicious battle traces have been found in Tianqun. The victim cannot be verified. Do you still want to deny it? Lu Han opened his mouth and was speechless. Sure enough, I still underestimate the ability of the Konoha ninja. Lu Han also thought that his actions in the village would be exposed one day, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. Sister Tsunade. Don't call me sister. Okay, Master Tsunade. Lu Han calmed down, turned his thoughts, looked at Tsunade and said, actually, this matter is quite bizarre. I'm afraid I say you don't believe it. Speak. I know all the residents of Konoha. You fart. Girls don't swear. Look, you really don't believe it. Don't talk nonsense, answer my question. Did you do it? As I said, I know all the inhabitants of Konoha, so I can tell who is the inhabitant of Konoha and who is the outsider, and with a little more analysis, I can know who is the outsider, so. I did it, yes. Lu Han showed a miserable look again. You really don't believe me, I know that, so I won't say it. Tsunade sneered at Lu Han. She was now in a state where she didn't believe what Lu Han said. Lu Han picked up the kettle and poured water for himself. He said what he had to say. It was up to Tsunade to believe it or not. Do you know how many people there are in Konoha? Tsunade asked Lu Han angrily. Maybe tens of thousands of people. Lu Han wasn't sure. Since the last ninja war, Konoha has been recuperating for more than 10 years. Including the elderly, the weak, women and children, and non-ninjas, the total population of Konoha village has reached nearly 40,000, of which the proportion of working ninjas is as high as 32%. Among the ninjas, a certain proportion of ninjas are sent out as scouts to spy on the intelligence of various countries, and even adopt the method of disguising their deaths to hide their identities, and never show their faces in the village. Tsunade stared at Lu Han's eyes. You dare to say, you know everyone in Konoha? There are 40,000 people. Lu Han muttered. He recalled the original book. He remembered that during the Fourth Ninja World War, 80,000 ninjas fought against 100,000 white Zetsu. The upper limit of the number of ninjas in the world can be said that there are only 80,000 to 90,000 ninjas in the entire ninja world. According to the number of ninjas at that time, Konoha has more than 10,000 ninjas, which is reasonable. But now, 30 years after Konoha, there are so many ninjas. By the way, there are also World War II and World War III. It's my brain that's funny. Lu Han suddenly figured out that before the Fourth World War, there were 2 ninja world wars. Another batch will grow, another batch will die in the war, and another batch will grow. So the number of ninjas fluctuates, not more and more. Lu Han was in a trance, looking like he was wandering outside. Tsunade was furious and scolded. Little brat. Answer my question. What's the problem? Oh, yes, I know everyone in Konoha. Lu Han said, returning to his senses. Damn duck. Looks like I need to take you to the interrogation department. Hello. Am I telling the truth? You don't believe me. Even Lord Hokage can't say that he can remember everyone in Konoha village. Why do you? Then let's make a bet. Bet or not. Let's bet. I can prove it to you. Lu Han looked at Tsunade with strange eyes, and the word, bet, was particularly hard. Betting is very interesting. Betting, betting, betting. Tsunade successfully put on the suit, with a dead expression on Lu Han's face. Little devil, if you can't prove it, I will definitely send you to the interrogation department. You won't even think about it for the rest of your life. Then what if I win? Lu Han raised his eyebrows. If you win, I promise not to come to you again. Tsunade stared. No, not good. Lu Han shook his finger. Isn't Mr. Tsunade trying to protect me? You can't leave me. My condition is. Chapter 0023 Tsunade's shock. After listening to Lu Han's conditions, Tsunade thought it was unbelievable at first, because it was like a child playing, and then she reacted, looking at Lu Han a few times, and sneered. Little devil, you hold a grudge. It's a pity that I can't beat you, otherwise I'll do it directly. Luhan said with an expression you said. Humph. Tsunade stood up with a bad expression on his face, and shook his head at Luhan. Go. I'd like to see how you prove it. Don't deny the account if you lose. Luhan got up with a smile. The troubled area of Konoha village is full of high-rise buildings and hustle and bustle, making it extremely lively. Third-generation Hokage Sarutobi is a very capable person. Whether it is his achievements in ninja or managing the village, he has performed extremely well. Whenever outsiders come to the downtown area of Konoha village, they will be amazed by Sarutobi Hiruzen's achievements. On the eaves of a tower, Tsunade and Luhan stood side by side, looking at the pedestrians on the street below. You know all the people below. Tsunade squinted at Luhan and teased. Of course it's impossible to know them all, because some are foreign businessmen and some ordinary people passing by. Luhan said. Then how do you prove it? By chance. Tsunade was a little exasperated. You can refer to anyone and ask me, anyone is fine. Luhan glanced at Tsunade and said. Tsunade looked unhappy, then looked down again, before pointing to the bottom for a while and said, the man in the shinobi at the door of the ninja shop. Konoha Ministry of Education, maybe a teacher. The one pushing the trolley with the sack on it. Foreign merchants. Woman on the street buying candy. The administration department, my own people. Just came out of the restaurant with an iron rod in hand. The one in the village doesn't seem to be a ninja, maybe it's a hunter in the village. There. Yes. Tsunade asked more than a dozen people in a row, and Luhan answered all of them. Some of them had accurate information in their names, and Luhan answered them in detail. If there was no accurate information, they said they were from Konoha. Some Konoha residents only show their names, while outsiders will definitely show their affiliations, such as merchants from the land of Vortex, residents of Xiaohu village, etc. What? Do you admit defeat? Luhan asked with a smile. Tsunade was silent for a while, then raised his finger again and said, the man who almost fell on the street just now is the one with a hat. Luhan looked at it and said after a moment of silence, the outsider is a ninja. It was a scout ninja from Iwagakure village, a level 10 white silver boss, but Luhan didn't say it, and he didn't care much about such a small role. Tsunade's expression is a little anxious. As a ninja who has been trained for more than 10 years, she has been born and died many times, and she also has some ways to distinguish the identity of the other party, so the people she refers to are all people who she can identify themselves, while Luhan all right. Tsunade stubbornly thought that Luhan was lying to him, but it turned out that it wasn't. Wait for me. Tsunade dropped the words and disappeared beside Luhan. Humph. Luhan hummed and smiled, who had the winning ticket in his hands. He was not afraid of Tsunade's tricks. Few minutes later, Tsunade appeared next to Luhan again. What? Luhan glanced at Tsunade. Look there. Tsunade pointed below, the door of the weapon shop. Those four, tell me, who are my own? Who are the outsiders? Tsunade specially arranged for 4 people to appear on the street. When Luhan looked at it, his face changed slightly, and then he said slowly, the first one from the left, Anbu Ninja, the second one, the Interrogation Department Ninja, the third one, a prisoner, an alien ninja, the fourth one, Anbu Ninja. Tsunade suddenly turned to look at Luhan. Her eyes were already glowing, she was shocked. She just went to the prison, and she specially transferred a healthy prisoner out, and also found 2 Anbu ninjas who didn't show up often. Luhan knew that they were residents of Konoha, but he even knew what they were doing. Luhan not only knew everyone in Konoha, it was a hell of a time. How did you do that? Tsunade asked, his voice hoarse. Luhan showed a mysterious smile, raised his finger to his head, and paused before saying, I have lived in Konoha for so many years, I have walked every inch of Konoha, and my memory is very good, and secondly. And there are some analytical things in it, and 1 or 2 sentences cannot explain it clearly. You asked me how many people I killed recently. Many. dozens, some in the village, some outside the village. Luhan began to tell the story again. Before I killed them, I followed them first, because I know they are not residents of Konoha, and they are suspicious, so I followed them first, deliberately revealing my own tracks. If the other party was a spy, I would definitely be alert, and then either flee outside the village, or lead me to a place where no one was there to kill. That's how. Why didn't you report it? How do I explain it? Luhan looked at Tsunade and said angrily, you don't believe me time and time again. If you'd change someone else, you might just lock me up. Tsunade blinked, still very suspicious. Indeed, there are too many things about Luhan that are difficult to explain, but then again, it is true that this guy has been dishonest. Huh, Luhan suddenly made a surprised voice. Tsunade frowned, looked down with Luhan's eyes, and asked, what's wrong? On the street, people come and go. There was a middle-aged man with a short stature and a stout stature. He was wearing a coarse cloth and was wrapped in hemp rope. He carried a pole on his shoulders. There were 2 baskets at both ends of the pole. The man appeared to be a passing peddler, probably from a small village nearby. But in Luhan's eyes, he has nothing to do with small traders. He is a ninja with a big Yuhi name. Yuhi's dazzling kind. Sunagakur Scout 30 Bronze Boss, Kinki. Jonin Scouts from the Land of Winds. This is the first time that Luhan has seen Jonin spies in the village. Chapter 0024_Luhan Sherlock Holmes. What's wrong? Tsunade asked suspiciously, looking at Luhan and then down again. What are you looking at? The guy with the pole. Luhan finally said after pondering, did you see it? Well, what's wrong? Tsunade frowned in response. First of all, he is not a resident of Konoha, and secondly, he is a ninja. From my point of view, his left hand is delicate, but his fist face is flat. This is a symbol of training, indicating that he is good at taijutsu, good at gangquan, and pay attention to maintenance, which shows that his status is not low, and he is definitely not an ordinary ninja. Quote. He walks with a pole, the pole is bent, and there are heavy objects inside, but his shoulders are not crooked, indicating that his body is very stable, and his pace, the distance of each step is the same, and the toes fall first. This is only trained ninjas have the pace. Look, he passed a person, and the 2 turned sideways at the same time to make his pace distance remain the same. This also shows that he is in a state of alert. Once an accident occurs, he has a solid footing and can react at any time. Quote. Looking at his trousers, they look old, but they don't have any frayed cuffs, and they're very bulky, but they don't have the necessary old creases, which means they're deliberately worn. And the most important point, he has murderous aura, very, very strong murderous aura. You may not feel it, but I can, so. He's a spy, Tsunade answered hurriedly. He's a Jonin spy, Luhan emphasized, glancing at Tsunade. You can try him first, or maybe my analysis is wrong. Of course, it's more likely to be right. Tsunade looked at Luhan with a look of distrust of Luhan's reasoning, but he was also a little moved. If it is really a Jonin spy, maybe it will do some harm to Konoha. Call. Tsunade hand seal disappeared beside Luhan. Luhan smiled and looked down, but he was deeply relieved. Just now, those were all forcibly made up by him. Those are indeed suspicious points. Through those doubts, it can be judged that the other party is a spy. At least they can be suspected, but they must be say that the other party is Jonin. Pure nonsense. Luhan himself does not have any inference ability, but he can first determine the identity of the other party and make a reverse inference. Knowing that the other party is a Jonin spy, any abnormal details are no longer an illusion. It doesn't seem to be in the downtown area, and I don't know where it will go. The figure carrying the pole quickly disappeared from Luhan's sight. Luhan thought about it, and the hand seal disappeared. Had to go home first. Since he had told Tsunade about it, Luhan would definitely have no chance of intervening, and he had no plans to fight with Jonin yet. Luhan returned home. He closed the window first. Before he entered the door, he saw two Uchiha Yuhi names watching him. Uchiha clan, it's really endless. Luhan stood in front of the mirror, blinking in a murmur. His pair of black pupils quickly changed to Yuhi. A single tomo appeared, and the world became clear in Luhan's eyes again. Luhan showed a thoughtful look. Having Sharingan is a good thing, but the fact that he owns Sharingan will be known to the outside world one day, which will definitely lead to trouble, and even Luhan may be considered a Uchiha clan. Because Luhan is an orphan and both his parents died since he was a child, no one knows who his parents are. If you force a guess that one of his parents is a missing nin of the Uchiha clan, it may make sense. Betrayed the Uchiha clan, tired of it after completing the mission and killing, he lived in seclusion in a small mountain village, married an ordinary person, and gave birth to Luhan. Genie, if I use another Sharingan Kekkei Genkei scroll, can it be upgraded to double tomo? Yes, but the probability of dropping the scrolls of Sharingan Kekkei Genkei for the second time is very low, and subversives can also be improved through training. Rumbling tilde. There was a sudden roar, and the ground shook. Huh. Luhan turned his head suddenly, dodged to the window, opened the window and looked out. In the distance, the fire is soaring, and the smoke is billowing. They already done it. In that case, Tsunade will think I'm a peerless genius. Luhan smiled. He really wanted to know Tsunade's expression now. Although Tsunade is a medical ninja, his fighting ability is not weak at all, and this is in the Konoha village. Tsunade can call a large number of ninjas, Anbu, guards, nearby Konoha ninjas with a single signal. So Tsunade's safety does not need to be worried, but a moment of silence for Jonin in the Land of Winds. Luhan thought that Tsunade would come to him after the battle, but he didn't. Dusk. Luhan's house is full of aroma, and there are several plates of delicious dishes on the table. Luhan is still busy in the kitchen. He is in a good mood today, so he does more, and he does not plan to sleep. He will return to Subversive at midnight. Space. When Luhan came out of the kitchen with rice again, Tsunade was already sitting at the table, coming quietly. Don't knock on the door. Luhan was stunned for a while, and put the rice bowl on the table. Tsunade looked at Luhan as if he was looking at an alien. He looked up and down, seeing Luhanji's hair, and then he said, "Can I finish it all by myself? Knowing you'll be here at night, I deliberately did more." Luhan borrowed the donkey way and smiled. "You can count this." Tsunade's face changed slightly. Luhan gave her too much incredible. "Let's eat first, chat while eating, I'll go get the dishes." Luhan smiled and walked towards the kitchen. When Luhan returned to the table, there was an extra burden on the table. "What?" Luhan asked. "Intelligence bounty," Tsunade said sullenly, as if he didn't want to give Luhan's appearance. "You provided the intelligence of Jonin spies, you deserve it." "Bounty." Luhan opened the bag, his eyes lit up. A lot of money. A flash of lightning flashed across Luhan's mind. He thought about what he could do. Things you can do even as a non-ninja. Tsunade stood up and picked up the bowls and chopsticks to serve. "Wait a minute," Luhan suddenly shouted. "Don't let me eat." Tsunade looked up at Luhan. She was indeed hungry. "No." Luhan restrained his smile and said solemnly, "Master Tsunade, if I remember correctly, you seem to have lost the bet to me, can I now?" Chapter 0025 Tsunade wet _. As Luhan spoke, he smiled, a smile that meant a winner. Tsunade's face changed. He lowered his voice immediately, and said fiercely to Luhan, "Little devil, are you so impatient? Isn't it time to eat now? You want to default?" Luhan asked back, giving Tsunade a contemptuous look. "I don't have it, I won't default on my debt." Tsunade suddenly got a little excited and stood up looking very angry. "Okay, come on." After saying that, Tsunade picked up the kettle and poured a glass of water and handed it to Luhan. "No need for this, wait for me." Luhan didn't answer, got up and quickly walked towards the kitchen. Not long after, Luhan came out of the kitchen with a bucket. The bucket was about the size of a waist, half a meter high, and filled with clean water. Hey, kid, did you use a bucket? I only splashed you with half a glass of water at the time. Tsunade exclaimed anxiously. Does it have anything to do with that? Luhan walked over to Tsunade with a bucket of water, and said with a smile, we agreed. If I win, I'll splash you with water, but I didn't say how much. Tsunade's pretty face was bitter. He didn't know if he was angry, or if he really had no reason to speak. He could only stare at Luhan. Come on. Luhan smiled again. Wow tilde. Bucket was lifted high by Luhan, and a bucket full of water was poured on top of Tsunade's head and washed down. Tsunade's clothes were soaked in an instant, and he turned into a chicken. PFF'd. Tsunade wiped her face. As the #1 woman in Hokage, she naturally expressed her grievances to Luhan without any pretentiousness. She just gave Luhan another look in dissatisfaction, punished herself with a bowl of rice, and sat down to start eating. Liang Qing, Luhan said, put down the bucket, and went back to his seat to sit down. Tsunade was still dripping water, a lot of hair stuck to his face, and his clothes became wrinkled. Originally Tsunade was wearing looser clothes and didn't show off his figure. At this time, his clothes were all close to the on the body. Luhan didn't dare to look at it, and got angry when he saw it. Luhan ate and didn't speak, but raised his head from time to time and glanced at Tsunade. Why is Tsunade's heart so big? Don't know how to change clothes before eating. Can you still have a good meal? The meal was very dull. In fact, Luhan kept peeking at Tsunade, but Tsunade didn't seem to notice it. Of course, it was possible that she noticed Luhan's gaze, but Luhan was young and she didn't think much about it. Meal, Tsunade left directly. She originally wanted to have a good talk with Luhan, but she was out of breath today, so she stopped talking. In the middle of the night, Luhan Ping lay on the wooden collapse and waited. At midnight, Luhan's whole body became illusory, as if translucent, and then he returned to his physical form. Luhan's soul emerged three-dimensionally, and after a few breaths of darkness, his consciousness returned again. The subversive space is still the same, empty and cold, only the light ball in the center of the space emits light. Suddenly, the ball of light cracked, and a black passage appeared. Luhan walked out and slowly opened his eyes. You're back. The subversion messenger's voice sounded in Luhan's ears. Yeah. Luhan looked back at the light ball that had returned to its original state. Without gossip, he said directly, I have 12 ingots now, what can I exchange? Call. The ball of light suddenly burst into a white light, and the white light took shape in front of Luhan, like a huge screen with grids on top, and each grid displayed a pattern and the number of ingots needed. 12 ingots, there are too many things that can be exchanged. There are more than 100 items that can be exchanged for 1 ingot alone. There are also items worth 2 ingots, 5 ingots, and 10 ingots. Luhan will see from the following that 1 ingot can be exchanged for ninjutsu package, such as a few basic ninjutsu plus AC level ninjutsu can be exchanged for only 1 ingot. AB level ninjutsu, only 1 ingot. A penultimate level weapon costs only 1 ingot. Luhan's best weapon at the moment is only the elite level, and above the elite level is the penultimate level, which can be regarded as a weapon of magic. Above the penultimate level are the rare level weapons, and the rare level weapons are not only magic weapons, but also with special effects, such as poisoning, blood-sucking, absorbing chakra, etc. A rare weapon is usually worth dozens of ingots, all of which are told by the elves to Luhan. Penultimate, assassination knife. Luhan took a fancy to a jet black knife that was 70 centimeters long. Although he was very excited, Luhan didn't buy it right away, but continued to look at it. He only had 12 ingots, and the use of each ingot must be carefully considered. Drops are picked up automatically. The price is 1 ingot. Luhan saw another interesting thing, not a ninja-related ability but an item, but an ability that only Luhan, who is a subversive, can use. Look up again. Some penultimate weapons are priced at 2 ingots. Lu Han also saw that the entry into the 8 inner gates requires 5 ingots to exchange. The 8 inner gates is very powerful, no doubt about it, but if it is just an entry, 5 ingots are reasonable. But Lu Han didn't want to develop in the field of physical art, it was too boring. The penultimate is the most expensive penultimate weapon. The technique of shadow clone, priced at 5 ingots, is the most expensive B-level ninjutsu. For the pricing of ninjutsu scrolls, basic ninjutsu and C-level ninjutsu are worthless. The price of B-level ninjutsu is between 1 ingot and 5 ingots. Lu Han already has Master S Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu for 2 ingots, while Fire Dragon Flame requires 2 ingots. Play, as long as 1 ingot. Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu, why is it more expensive than Fire Dragon Flame Jutsu? Lu Han asked. Shadow clone is expensive. It is understandable that this technique is very special, so why is Dragon Flame more expensive? The power is not necessarily stronger than the Fire Dragon Flame bullet. Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu is a B-level ninjutsu developed by Uchiha Sasuke's improvement of Dragon Flame Jutsu. The time you entered is 30 years of Konoha. At this time, the Konoha Uchiha clan has not mastered this technique. You cannot pass the formal. The way to practice this technique can only be obtained through drops and exchange, and the exchange price for any technique that will appear in later generations will be more expensive. The subversive messenger explained. Understood. Lu Han nodded and continued to look up. Futon, wind style, crushing. Doden, earth style, swamp of the underworld. Sweden, water style, great waterfall technique. Kaden, fire style, dragon flame release song jutsu. These 4 A-level ninjutsu are priced at 10 ingots. Chapter 0026 LV9 Ultimate Kaden, fire style. In addition to A-level ninjutsu, there are also the spiritual medicine, that the elves have said, some secret arts, demonic illusion, and golden medicine, and some abilities that can only be used by subversives. Danger alert. When a hostile character appears within 100 meters of subversive, an alert will be issued. Critical hit damage. When using offensive ninjutsu, there is a small chance of a critical hit. Upgradable. Deprivation technique. After the subversive kills the enemy character, he can use this technique on the corpse of the enemy mission, with a small probability of obtaining the ability possessed by the enemy character. Upgradable. Corpse destruction. Destroy the corpse completely, leaving no trace. 4 special abilities were all priced at 10 ingots. Lu Han was very moved when he saw them, and every one of them made his heart move. However, still the problem, he only had 12 ingots, and it was impossible to waste 10 of them on these abilities. We can only wait until there are more ingots in the future. Lu Han roughly looked through all the things that could be exchanged, pinched his chin and started to think. Remind Subversive 3665 that you can only stay in the subversive space for a maximum of 30 minutes. The voice of the subversive messenger suddenly sounded. If you exceed 30 minutes, you will be forcibly teleported back to the world of Hokage. Ask a question. How much is Kaden, Fire Style, Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation worth? Lu Han asked. He didn't see the exchange item for Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation. The subversive ingot is insufficient and cannot be viewed. The subversive messenger said. Okay, then. Lu Han paused again before saying. I will exchange 2 Phoenix Sage Fire Technique packages first. One package is 3 Function Fire Ninjutsu Scrolls. Each package is 1 yuan. I spend a total of 2 ingots, get 6 Function Fire Scrolls, right? Yes. Then, I will exchange for 8 Fire Dragon Bullets and 8 ingots. Good. There are still 2 ingots left, one for the Assassination Short Blade of Penultimate, and one for the dropped items to be picked up automatically, that's all. After the exchange is completed, the subversive can stay in this space for 17 minutes. All 12 ingots were spent, the ingots disappeared directly into Lu Han's space backpack, and the exchangeable items appeared directly in Lu Han's space backpack. Lu Han immediately sat down cross-legged and took out all the exchangeable items. Penultimate Assassination Short Blade, 70 centimeters long, black as ink, extremely thin blade, long handle, can hold the knife with both hands. Lu Han took a look and put away the assassination short blade. This knife will be his main battle weapon for a long time in the future. Dropped items are automatically picked up. It is a scroll. It is used when opened, and there is nothing to study. The rest are all ninjutsu scrolls. 6C ranked Kaden fire style ninjutsu, reels of Phoenix Sage fire technique, all used up. Before Lu Han's Phoenix Sage fire technique was LV3. After using those scrolls, the level reached LV9, which is the highest level. Next, the 8th Fire Dragon Fire Bullet Ninjutsu scrolls, all used. Kaden fire style Fire Dragon Fire Bullet also reached LV9, the highest level. AC ranked Kaden fire style attacking ninjutsu, and AB ranking Kaden fire style attacking ninjutsu, all of which have reached the highest level. According to the elves, people in the Hokage world can only cultivate ninjutsu to level 6 at the highest level. Even Uchiha Madara, who was unparalleled in Kaden fire style ninjutsu back then, displayed the magic of wind, fairy fire, and the strongest. Only LV6 level. All know, the C-level Kaden fire style displayed by Uchiha Madara is comparable in power to the B-level or even A-level ninjutsu displayed by others. If it wasn't for Senju Hashirama Master's bug-like Mokuden wood-style ability, he would have been beaten to death by Madara. At this time, Lu Han's Phoenix Sage fire technique has reached the LV9 level. He can no longer speculate on the power of his Phoenix Sage fire technique, but there is no doubt that it is far stronger than ordinary B-level ninjutsu. B-level ninjutsu Fire Dragon Flame Bullet that reaches the LV9 level should have the power of A-level ninjutsu. Reason why Lu Han did not directly choose A-level ninjutsu scrolls, but instead upgraded 2 C-level B-level ninjutsus that had already been masters, mainly considered the problem of chakra consumption. If he learned A-level Kaden fire style Dragon Flame Release Song Jutsu, with his current amount of chakra, is probably not enough to use it once. As for B-level ninjutsu, Lu Han felt that he could let it go. From this point of view, Lu Han seems to have found a way to save chakra and release the powerful ninjutsu. It seems to be taking advantage of it, but in fact it is not, because if he chooses A-level ninjutsu, it is possible to continuously improve the power, but the upper limit has not yet been reached. And now that he has upgraded the Fire Dragon Flame Bomb to the full level, there is no room for growth. There are pros and cons, but Lu Han feels that he has made the most correct choice now. Didn't choose A-level ninjutsu, and he didn't exchange spiritual potions, but he made his own strength reach a new height. He has only become a subversive for 7 days, and the road is still long. The power of the 2 full-level ninjutsu has increased by at least 1 level. C-level is used as B-level, and B-level is used as A-level. Will this scare people to death? Lu Han suddenly thought of a very interesting thing. Fire Dragon the Fire Bullet is the Kaden fire style ninjutsu that Sarutobi Hiruzen is good at, but I don't know how much power LV6 and LV9 have checked. The moonlight was dim, casting a dim yellow through the window. Lu Han's body, who was lying flat on the wooden collapse, was illusory again, and then turned into a real entity. Lu Han opened his eyes, turned over and sat up. Today is destined to be a sleepless night for him. Practice. The only shortcoming of Lu Han now is that the amount of chakra is too small. Although he can replenish it with a small blue bottle at any time, it is not a long-term solution. A new day. Lu Han, who had not slept all night, was still in high spirits. The first time he went out, he noticed that there were still people from the Uchiha tribe watching. 2 big Yuhi names were hidden in the tree. Go. Mission Hall, just beside the downtown area. Because it was still early, there were not many people in the mission hall, and there were 20 or 30 ninjas handing over missions. This time, Lu Han came to the mission hall to inquire about the reward for providing spies intelligence. Yo, look at who this is. The injury will heal so quickly. It's a pity that he wasn't killed. Lu Han was walking towards the mission hall, and a strange girl's voice suddenly came from not far away. Lu Han stopped and turned to look. The girl, who was about 12 or 13 years old, although she was young, was already slim, with a very cute baby face, but the look in Lu Han's eyes was very, very unpleasant. Chapter 0027_Neuropathy Hyuga Logan. The girl is not just one person, she has 3 teenage ninjas beside her, a total of 4 people, all with obvious characteristics, Byakugan. That's right, including this girl, they're all ninjas from the Hyuga clan. Lu Han knew her, and through Han's memory, Lu Han was deeply impressed by her. Hyuga Luo Ning. I still remember that it was 5 years ago, when Lu Han was 7 years old and Hyuga Luo Ning was 8 years old. At that time, Lu Han was already a well-known trash, and Hyuga Luo Ning was a genius girl of the Hyuga family, a princess of the stars and the moon, and even Uchiha Fugaku, who was still the king of the ninja school, did not dare to provoke her. Girls always get more sympathy, and the Hyuga family is not easy to mess with. At that time, suddenly one day, Hyuga Luo Ning confessed to Han. That's right, it's such a bloody plot. At the age of 7, Lu Han was very good-looking and very delicate. With long hair, he could even dress up as a girl. This is also the reason why Han was often beaten, and he was more like a girl. However, Hyuga Luo Ning confessed to Han, and there are hidden feelings in it, that is, Hyuga Luo Ning made a bet with someone, lost the bet, and was forced to confess to Han, and then something even more bloody happened. Han rejected Hyuga Luo Ning. 2 idiots. Lu Han can only comment on Hyuga Luo Ning and Lu Han at that time. Hyuga Luo Ning regarded himself as too high, he really thought he was a princess, and he could make people bow down casually, but Han was just a lump of elm, and was very inferior. Hyuga Luo Ning's confession even made him panic. That's how the two were enmity. Hyuga Luo Ning was rejected in public, and her face was thrown on the moon. Since then, until she graduated from the ninja school at the age of 10, Han was beaten dozens of times by her for 2 whole years. When Hyuga Luo Ning was in school, she was not only the princess, but also the eldest sister among the students, who could fight against the Uchiha Fugaku chamber. In Konoha village, Uchiha and Hyuga have a tense relationship, and each has a vassal clan, and in school, the same is true. Hyuga Luo Ning is cute, but is a complete violent maniac. From the age of 7 to the age of 9, Han's life is black, and Hyuga Luo Ning really holds a grudge. Now Hyuga Luo Ning is 13 years old, and it has been 3 years since she graduated from the ninja school. She didn't expect that she still remembers what happened back then. Why don't you talk? While Lu Han was recalling Han's memories, Hyuga Luo Ning walked up to Lu Han. The two were about the same height, so they could look at each other, but their aura was too different. Hyuga Luo Ning was arrogant and Lu Han was too ordinary. Long time no see, Lu Han said. He didn't care about what happened back then, and it wasn't him who suffered. Hyuga Luo Ning was stunned for a moment, but he didn't expect that the first sentence Lu Han said was this, completely ignoring his previous provocation. Stop pretending. Hyuga Luo Ning hugged her shoulders, her face a little unnatural. She glanced at Lu Han a few times up and down, and said with a teasing smile, I'll look at you more, look at you less, maybe one day. It's okay, I'm leaving. Lu Han motioned for himself to go inside. Don't be too arrogant, kid. Our lady is talking to you. The 2 young Hyuga ninjas next to him scolded, and they seemed to be less happy with Lu Han's attitude than Hyuga Luo Ning. Hyuga Luo Ning raised her hand and signaled, telling the people around her to shut up, then took 2 steps forward, very close to Lu Han. Her face-to-face was very oppressive, and said in a low voice, I heard that our young patriarch to find you. Yes, Lu Han said calmly. You refused, didn't you? You really haven't changed at all, and you're carrying everything. Hyuga Luo Ning's eyes seemed to see flowers on Lu Han's face. It has nothing to do with you. Lu Han said again. So, it's not a pity for a person like you to die. I don't know what's the matter. Hyuga Luo Ning shook her head with a smile, mocking her face. Are you finished? Lu Han didn't have the slightest anger. He didn't lose his temper, but have you ever seen someone who was angry with an NPC in a game? Don't make a fuss if you can. Oh yes, let me tell you something. Hyuga Luo Ning showed a bright smile again. I will take the Chunin exam soon. I will become a Chunin, and I will become a Jonin in the future. I will live a long, long time. I will be the glory of the Hyuga family, the glory of Konoha. And you are going to die. The Uchiha clan will not let you go, because you broke the rules of the game, and no one can save you. Since you refused the invitation of our young patriarch at that moment, your fate is already doomed. But don't worry. Hyuga Luo Ning raised her hand and pulled Lu Han's collar, tidying up, with a decent feeling of wanting Lu Han to die. After you die, people will forget you, but I will remember you, and you should feel lucky. Let's go. Let's go. Hyuga Luo Ning finally gave Lu Han another smile, waved his hand, and walked out with several other ninjas. Lu Han looked back at the group of Hyuga Luo Ning who went out and frowned. What does she mean? It felt like a chance encounter with Lu Han who was deliberately mocking, and also felt like he wanted to stimulate Lu Han to ask Hyuga's house for help. Or both. Nervous disease. Lu Han muttered, leaving the matter behind and walking towards the innermost part of the mission hall. In the innermost part of the mission hall are some separate rooms. Because providing information is a special mission, ordinary people can also participate, but ordinary people may suffer retaliation, so the handover and inquiry of such missions are all carried out in separate rooms. At the same time, outside the cold wooden house, on a tree with dense branches and leaves, Uchiha Gumu hides in it, with his hands behind his back, as if waiting for something. Not long after, Lu Han's house suddenly opened, and two Uchiha ninjas sneaked out, looked left and right, and carefully closed the door of Lu Han's house. The two hand seals disappeared at the door, and reappeared on the tree where Uchiha Gomu was. It's all arranged, Uchiha Gomu said expressionlessly. Yes, my lord, the two ninjas said in unison. Okay, Uchiha Gomu even said, send my order, the third squad of the guards will arrest Han, and act immediately. Chapter 0028_Catch Cold. In a separate room in the deepest part of the mission hall. The room is not large, about 4 meters long and wide. There are 2 bulletin boards hanging on the walls on the left and right sides. The details of the rewards for providing various information are written on them, not only about enemy spies, but also enemy dynamic information, whereabouts intelligence, and missing person search intelligence. Not all information can be rewarded, such as enemy dynamic information. If someone finds a hostile ninja army passing by somewhere outside the village, report the incident here, and the mission hall will immediately send ninjas to verify. If it cannot be confirmed, then there is no reward. Lu Han entered the door and walked to the left wall first, looking at the contents of the bulletin board above. Provide hostile genin spies intelligence. The reward is between 500 taels and 2,000 taels. Provide hostile Chunin spies intelligence. The reward is between 2,000 taels and 10,000 taels. Provide information on hostile Jonin spies, and the reward is between 10,000 taels and 100,000 taels. The more detailed the information, the higher the reward, and the repeated information cannot be rewarded. The so-called repeated information is, for example, someone found a Jonin spy, and at the same time, there are already Konoha ninjas tracking this Jonin spy, then in this case, there is no reward for submitting information to the mission hall. Simply put, in order to obtain intelligence rewards in the mission hall, the whistleblower must be the first to discover the intelligence. At present, the currency calculation method of Konoha is divided into 2 types, yuan and liang. 1 liang is equivalent to 10 yuan, and at this time, the price of Konoha, a bowl of cheap ramen sells for 5 yuan. Although Konoha is extremely wealthy, an ordinary resident of Konoha, the monthly income will not exceed 100 taels. For businessmen, ordinary stores can have 200 or even 300 taels of income per month. I didn't expect such a thing as providing information to be so profitable. Lu Han watched with enthusiasm. Just report a genin spy, and the income is equivalent to a few months of ordinary people's income. In fact, from another angle, this is reasonable. For example, in the world before Luhan, what was the reward for discovering foreign spies? And many wanted orders for escaped prisoners will indicate how much money is provided for clues, and it is normal for tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. Money is a good thing. Although there is very little description of money in the original work, it is hardly mentioned, but there is no doubt that it is extremely useful to see as the currency of the Hokage world. Having money may not necessarily dominate the Hokage world, but it can definitely become a human being. In the Hokage world, the most lucrative profession is naturally ninja. Generally, the C-level and D-level tasks that genin can perform have a minimum reward of 5,000 taels, while the A-level and S-level tasks that only jonin can perform have a minimum income of 150,000 taels, and the high is more than 1 million taels. Money can make ghosts run the mill, and ninjas work for money. It is rumored that there is a black market in all countries in the ninja world, where, as long as there is enough money, you can buy anyone's life, and you can buy anything you want. Luhan wanted to take a look and wait until he had enough money. Maybe you can buy ninja gear with special effects, or pay to learn the forbidden technique. Having said that, in comparison, being a ninja makes money quickly. The lowest reward for the lowest level tasks is 5,000 taels, and Luhan needs to provide information on at least one Chunin spy before he can get 5,000 taels. Moreover, the business of reporting spies is not a long-term solution, and there are not so many spies for Luhan to report. However, Luhan thought clearly, this business is temporary, and the efficiency of making money is far higher than that of ninjas doing tasks. Ninjas usually perform tasks in groups of 3, and each task may be completed in 1 day, or 10 days, or even it took a few months to complete, plus the loss of weapons in the battle, detonating charms, smoke bombs, and equipment damage. After completing the mission, part of the mission bounty village has to be divided. Ninjas make more money and spend more quickly. Luhan can make money faster than any ninja in the short term. Because he can report 1 spy every day, or 10. Tens of. Depends on how much he can find, and it's not dangerous. Oh, no, Luhan suddenly remembered something. Provide jonin spy information. The minimum reward is 10,000 taels, and yesterday Tsunade only gave Luhan 2,000 taels. Isn't she hacking my money? Luhan blinked and thought, is Tsunade this kind of person? There is a long counter at the far back of the room. Behind the counter stands a man wearing a cloak and a mask. This is Anbu Ninja. The direct supervisor is the 3rd generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the mask on the face is their symbol. After Luhan entered the door, he glanced at Luhan and said nothing. People come here every day to inquire about the reward for reporting, and he is used to it. After completing the query, Luhan left the mission hall. Busy city, bustling streets, crowded. Luhan rubbed his stomach, looked around and walked forward. He was very hungry without breakfast. He has been eating more and more recently, and his food has become better and better. Every time he eats, he will spend a few taels, which is dozens of yuan. This is something that Han could not imagine before, because Han's monthly relief fund is only 50 taels. Call, 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 call. Sudden. There was a whirlwind around Luhan, and one by one, fully armed ninjas appeared one after another in the posture of hand seal, uniformly dressed, Konoha guards. 5 Uchiha ninjas, 5 great Yuhi names. There was a commotion in the street, and the surrounding pedestrians dispersed all of a sudden, forming a large circle, pointing at the 5 members of the Konoha guard team and Luhan. What's the situation? I don't know. Luhan looked left and right, frowned slightly and said, what do you mean? You Uchiha clan can't stand it anymore. Are you planning to kill me in front of everyone here? We suspect that you colluded with spies, killed Konoha residents, and stole money. Please come with us to assist in the investigation. The Uchiha ninja who appeared in front of Luhan said indifferently. The vast quiet room, Tsunade crossed his knees on the futon, closing his eyes and meditating. Wow! The door was suddenly pushed open, and a ninja knelt outside the door, lowered his head and said quickly, "Report Tsunade-sama. The Konoha guards just arrested Han." What? Tsunade opened his eyes suddenly. Chapter 0029_Cold as a spy. Han was caught, and in full view, by members of the Konoha guard force. Almost everyone in the Konoha village knew that Han would be retaliated by the Uchiha clan, but no one ever thought that the Uchiha clan would rely on the rights of the Konoha police force to directly arrest Han in the downtown street. Revenge. No matter how arrogant the Uchihas are, they don't dare to kill Han like this. What they are most afraid of is to be truthful. If they do, the high-level Konoha may take this to attack the Uchihas, so even if they retaliate, they will not possibly blatant. Things get interesting. What is the Uchiha trying to do? Questions hovering over everyone's heads. In fact, Han was not caught away, but was invited by the Konoha guards to leave. They were on business. They did not dare to do anything to Han on the street, and Han cooperated with their work very well. The news is going crazy. Many people feel that today's incident is likely to cause the top officials of Konoha to break with the Uchiha clan and make their confrontation public. After Tsunade got the news, he immediately went to the police department. The Konoha Police Department is a 5-story single-family wooden building in a remote location surrounded by woods. When Tsunade appeared outside the police department, there were already a lot of people gathered at the door of the police department, all of whom came to watch the fun. The Uchiha people have the right to drive them away and forbid onlookers, but they did not do so. Instead, they opened the door of the wooden building so that people outside could see what was inside. The Hyuga clan, the Aburame clan, the Kurama clan, the Shimura clan. In addition to ordinary people, Tsunade also saw many ninjas, some standing on trees not far away, some standing on stones, talking in low voices. Han is a small person. It's not Han that attracts attention, but what is the Uchiha going to do? If you can't come up with a proper reason for openly arresting Han, Hokage-sama will definitely blame him. Tsunade walked into the police department, saw Han at a glance, and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Uchiha didn't do anything wrong. In the lobby of the police department, Han sat on a separate chair with his arms folded over his chest, looking indifferent. Opposite is a low table. Behind the low table, Uchiha Gumu sat on the stool with a golden knife and looked at Han with cold eyes. There are also a dozen or so guard ninjas in the lobby, standing around. This is already a public interrogation. The door is open, and there are people outside. Tell me the truth. Tell me, when was the last time you sent information to the outside world? Uchiha Gumu's voice was stern, and when Tsunade entered the door, he glanced at him and looked away. I don't understand what you're talking about, Han said lightly. How dare you make excuses? Uchiha Gomu slammed the table and stood up. We now suspect that you sold information from the village in exchange for money, killed guard ninjas, and stole personal property. If you confess, you can be punished lightly, otherwise it will be counted. If you are punished for both crimes, you will definitely be put to death. Why don't you say it? Where's the evidence? Han asked back. He knew that the Uchiha tribe was going to attack him. The assassination failed last time, but he didn't expect it to be like this time. Tsunade stood on the inside of the door, saying nothing, just listening quietly. She also wanted to know what the Uchiha clan did. You want evidence, right? Uchiha Gumu smiled, picked up a scroll and opened it and said, Listen, 5 days ago, you left the village in the morning and returned at noon, and the purpose of leaving the village was unknown. At dusk that day, Konoha, a forest patrolling ninja outside the village, was ambushed, killing 1 and injuring 2. Quote. 4 days ago, suspicious fighting marks were found in the woods on the north side of Sanhei Street in the southeastern part of the village. According to our investigation, someone saw you appearing there an hour before the suspicious fighting marks were discovered. 2 mornings ago, you were standing on a high-rise building in the downtown area, watching passers-by, and were seen by my guard ninja. You stayed there for nearly an hour, and your behavior was suspicious. Yesterday, you were seen talking to a foreign businessman in a ramen restaurant, and then the foreign businessman left in a hurry. Uchiha Gumu said one by one. Tsunade at the door had a strange expression on her face. She knew about Luhan, so she understood that the investigation results of the Konoha guards either found clues that Luhan killed the foreign spies, or it was a misunderstanding. For example, when a patrolling ninja was ambushed, this kind of thing is a coincidence. Even if Luhan is really a spy, would he provide this kind of information to the outside world? Worthless information. The route of patrolling outside the Konoha ninja village is not a secret, it is just a normal patrol. Are you finished? When Uchiha Gumu put down the scroll, Luhan smiled. Which one of your words can be used as evidence? Can't I go out to the village to pick mushrooms? Can't catch fish? Can't stand upstairs and watch the scenery? Can't you run around the village? These, at first glance, really can't be used as evidence. Uchiha Gumu's mouth curled into a vague smile, but we have also investigated matters that are of critical importance. All ears. Luhan changed his position on the chair and raised Erlang's legs. In the past few days, you have spent a lot of money. Do you have that much money? Where did the money come from? Uchiha Gumu asked a key point, which is indeed a question. He does seem to have suddenly become rich. I met him at the noodle shop, and he ate a lot of beef. Could it be? The chatter outside the door seems to have begun to suspect Han. First of all, let's analyze it logically. Luhan's expression remained unchanged, looking at Uchiha Gumu. If I am really a spy, I get paid for selling intelligence, I will spend the money immediately. Have you ever seen a spy who was exposed because of spending too much money? A real spy wouldn't make such a low-level mistake. Then answer me, where did the money come from? Answer my question. Uchiha Gumu's face stern. Tsunade's face changed slightly. She knew where Luhan's money came from, and the murder was found from the body, but would Luhan say it? She knew Luhan's worries. If she didn't say it, how could she explain it? Chapter 0030_Life is like a play, it all depends on acting. The discussion outside the door was already developing in a direction that was not good for Luhan. You must know that once Luhan lost his sympathy and was suspected of being a spy by the public, it would be too easy for the Konoha guards to kill Luhan. The easiest way is to lock up Luhan, kill him at night, and then create the illusion that Luhan was killed by the guard ninja when he tried to escape from prison. If you really want to get to that point, even if some people are well aware of the fact that Uchiha killed Han, they can't blame Han on the bright side. I saved it. I started to live on relief money when I was 7 years old. After so many years, I saved a lot. Is there a problem? Luhan's eyes brightened a lot, and he naturally couldn't be stumped by this kind of problem. Boom. Full of nonsense. Uchiha Gomyu patted the table again. Since you are so frugal, why haven't you been frugal lately? Because you are going to kill me. Luhan entered the actor mode, stood up suddenly, and said excitedly, everyone said I was going to die. Everyone said that I would be revenged by your Uchiha clan. I keep the money. What are you doing? I can't take it with me even if I die. If I don't spend it, can I still be robbed by you? Didn't you find out? I dropped out of the ninja school. I spent a lot of money, and I became different. It all happened after you were almost beaten to death by your young patriarch. Luhan shouted hysterically, you Uchiha clan. He has always pursued the principle of domineering. Never admit mistakes. Never reflect on himself. How many people dare to be angry and dare not speak? You are asking me now why I spend money. Luhan paused, took a deep breath, slowly returned to the chair, and became calm again, as if disheartened. I just want to eat a few more meals. Life is like a play, it all depends on acting. Luhan didn't cry. In fact, he really wanted to squeeze out the tears, but his skills were not enough, the drama was endless, and he still needed to learn. Shit Uchiha. The kid is still driven mad. So that's how it is. Poor. I started to doubt him just now. I'm really ashamed. The Uchiha will be punished sooner or later. The discussion outside the door completely changed direction. People began to sympathize with Han, and even cursed the Uchiha clan in a low voice, and looked at Uchiha Gumu with completely different eyes. Some powerful ninjas even made no secret of their contempt and ridicule. Such a poor baby. Only Tsunade felt something was wrong, and her mind became extremely weird, because she knew that Lu Han was lying. Lu Han was not afraid at all, and the money was not saved. Little liar, as expected of a little liar, such a camouflage ability, vivid performance. Is he lying to me all the time? Tsunade was a little suspicious of Lu Han. Originally, many things happened to Lu Han that she did not understand. At this moment, Lu Han turned into a fog again. Uchiha Gumu behind the table has changed greatly. The script is not written like this. According to his plan, Lu Han was already the object of suspicion by everyone at this time, but the result was just the opposite. He succeeded in arousing people's anger against the Uchiha tribe. The public anger is terrible. For the first time, Uchiha Gumu discovered that this little devil is so difficult to deal with. I'll go first if it's nothing. Lu Han saw that Gomyu didn't speak, and then spoke again. I haven't had breakfast yet, so killing people is no more than a nod to the head. Even if you Uchiha people hate me again, you must let me eat first. Huh. Play off. Uchiha Gumu is powerless. An angry look appeared on his face, but he was speechless. Report. A whirlwind suddenly engulfed the house, and a guard ninja appeared out of thin air and knelt down on one knee. Speak, Uchiha Gumu said hurriedly, with a sigh of relief, coming in time. Just now we searched the suspect Han's house and found something in it. Kneeling ninja continued, please go check it out. Oh, Uchiha Gumu pretended to be surprised, blinked and looked at Lu Han again, showing a winning smile. Little devil, it looks like you've been ignorant. I thought it would be easy to leave things at home. Nobody knows. Lu Han's heart moved slightly, and he suddenly understood that those things were just foreshadowing and were not important at all. Now is the time when the Uchiha clan struck with a thunderbolt. I just don't know what they put in the house. Please, I hope you can have a reasonable explanation. Uchiha Gumu waved his hand, and several guard ninjas approached Lu Han. A group of people left the police department in a mighty manner and walked towards Lu Han's house. More than a dozen guard ninjas wrapped Lu Han in the middle. Uchiha Gumu walked beside Lu Han, and the onlookers who didn't know the truth followed around. Some ninjas were too lazy to walk and jumped up and down the trees to follow the team. Little devil, I said, you were dead. Uchiha Gumu's inaudible voice suddenly sounded in Lu Han's ear. Lu Han turned his head and glanced at Uchiha Gumu, then turned his head back indifferently. This Jonin of the Uchiha family, I don't know when there is a chance to kill him. Chilled wooden house. Most of the people stayed outside the door. The guards and Lu Han entered the door. Tsunade also stood at the door. She didn't speak from the beginning to the end. Until now, no one knows that Tsunade has a complicated relationship with Lu Han. Under the wooden collapse, that box. A guard ninja, half prone, pointed to the wooden collapse. Let's see. Uchiha Gomyu walked over and stretched out his hand. With a sudden lift, he collapsed the wood against the wall, exposing the box and some sundries below. The sundries were a few pairs of worn-out shoes, fallen the gray sheathed weapons and some hemp ropes are all common things. Only the box looks unusual and has an excellent texture. Although it is not big, it looks very solid, and there is no ash, indicating that it is often used. It was a storage box distributed to ninjas in the village in the early years, and the lid was automatically locked. What's in the box? Uchiha Go asked, pointing at the box. Lu Han's expression was weird. It was really a low-level method, but he had to admit that usually this kind of low-level frame-up method can always achieve results, which is also the kind of frame-up method that has always been used by wicked people from ancient times to the present. Reason. Don't tell me that box is not yours. Uchiha Gumu sneered. The box belongs to me. Lu Han said, this is a relic left by my adoptive father, and his name is under the box, so. Lu Han looked at Gomyu and asked, why do you take it? My adoptive father's relics to question me. Are you afraid? Gomyu raised his eyebrows. If you have a clear conscience, why don't you open the box? The key is with you, right? Our Uchiha people are responsible for the Konoha police affairs, and now we suspect that you are a spy, the right to let you open the box. That's right. Lu Han was very calm, cocked the corner of his mouth, and walked towards the box. In fact, he also wanted to know what the Uchiha tribe put into it. Chapter 0031 looks like I lost something. Lu Han walked to the box and squatted down. He touched the keyhole with his fingers. Undoubtedly, the lock was opened by the Uchiha tribe, and the lock-picking technique was very clever, so no trace was left. Putting one hand into the pocket, Lu Han took it out. It seemed that he wanted to take something from the pocket. In fact, Lu Han put his hand into the space backpack. Because there were too many things in the space backpack, he found the key. Kind of hard. Lu Han put almost everything he could use in his space backpack, so he never worried that someone would rummage through his house and find something that was not good for him. Just as Lu Han took out the key, the door became silent, and a large group of people gathered there, watching eagerly. They also wanted to know what was in the box. If there was something in the box that was not good for Lu Han, then Lu Han would definitely be thrown into prison. Although many people suspected that it was the Uchiha clan's frame, there had to be evidence. The key to the box was on Lu Han. From a normal point of view, only Lu Han can store items in that box. This is unsolvable. You said that the Uchiha tribe framed Lu Han, and opened the lock and put something inside. What about the evidence? This is not a conspiracy of the Uchiha clan, but a conspiracy, the purpose of which is to put Lu Han in prison. Once they lock up Lu Han, they can talk about how Lu Han died. Call. A whirlwind suddenly rolled up at the door, a tall and strong figure appeared out of thin air, and a hearty voice without any scruples also sounded. It's so lively. So many people. Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya-sama. Many people greeted Jiraiya respectfully, who had just arrived. Jiraiya always looked cynical, with a lazy smile on her face, looked into the room, and he tilted his head to Tsunade beside him and asked, what's the situation? Tsunade glanced at Jiraiya and said softly, look, you'll understand right away. You seem worried. Jiraiya sensed Tsunade's emotions. Shut up. Tsunade gave Jiraiya a blank look. In the room, Lu Han, who was squatting in front of the box, finally took out the key. He inserted the key into the keyhole, but stopped again. Holding the box in his hand, he turned and moved, facing Uchiha Gumu. The box was already facing away from it because of the movement. Gomyu, the keyhole is on Lu Han. This seemingly unintentional move was Lu Han's means to ensure his own safety. If there's nothing in the box that proves I'm a spy, what do you say? Lu Han raised his head and asked. If not, Uchiha Gumu smiled. It was impossible, he had no fear. If not, your suspicion will be cleared, and we will naturally not seek you again. The price of your mistakes is too low, right? Lu Han raised his brows. Inexplicably arrested me, interrogated me, and finally couldn't prove my guilt, so forget it. Then what do you think? Gomyu smiled playfully. He felt that Lu Han was stalling for time and struggling to the death. Losing money, mental damage. Lu Han said seriously, my body and mind have been devastated because of your actions, you must compensate me. How much? Gomyu looked at Lu Han with interest. Not much, 10,000 taels. Lu Han said. The lion opened his mouth, and many people outside the door were stunned. Okay. Uchiha Gumu didn't care, raised his finger and said, if there is nothing in the box that can prove that you are a spy, I will give you 10,000 taels. Everyone present can testify. Now, open it for me, I see how you die. Click. Lu Han twisted the key, raised his hand again, and slammed open the lid of the box. Then he put his other hand into the box, as if to take something. Because the box faced Luhan and turned his back to other people, Luhan opened the box, and others couldn't see what was in the box, and their sight was blocked by the upright box cover. "Are you willing to admit it now?" Uchiha Gumu said with a smile, looking forward to the change in Luhan's expression. "I seem to have lost something." Luhan was taken aback and turned the box around 180 degrees, so that the box faced everyone in the room. Uchiha Gumu's smile suddenly solidified, his pupils contracted violently, and a buzzing sound in his mind revealed an unbelievable look. "Empty. The box is empty. Nothing at all. It's impossible. It's impossible." A roaring scream resounded in Uchiha Gumu's mind. It was he who commissioned the two of them to put things into the box. He waited outside the whole process, and then ordered Han to be arrested. In other words, Han didn't have time to go home, find the problem with the box, and then take the contents away. And Han's house has always been monitored by Uchiha ninjas, and the whole plan Uchiha Gumu has done without leaking, but the box is empty. It's just empty. Strange, there should be some kunai and shuriken left by my adoptive father, why are they missing? Luhan looked very puzzled, stood up slowly, looked at Uchiha Gumu, his eyes flashed with strange colors, and said, "I lost something, do you guys the Konoha guards care about this?" Uchiha Gomulian took 2 steps forward, squatted down and reached out and touched the box quickly, making sure that what he saw was not a hallucination. He even picked up the box and looked at the bottom of the box, where Koji's name was written on the bottom. He was a little out of his mind. Luhan's eyes flashed with coldness. "Do you want to hurt me?" In fact, there was something in the box before Luhan opened it, and it was almost full, but Luhan put his hand into the box the first time he opened it. This seemingly no problem. In fact, Luhan at that moment, Han put everything in the box into the space backpack, so the box was empty. Nothing at all. Interesting. There was a noise outside the door. Uchiha Gumu stood up suddenly, gave Luhan one last look with a livid face, waved his hand, turned around and walked out. 10,000 taels. Luhan called out. "I'll have someone deliver it." Uchiha Gumu led the person out without turning his head, and his voice even trembled. Shocked, angry, crazy to tear Luhan apart. No. Uchiha Gumu can't care about that now, he just wants to know. Where did those things go? There are many things in the box, and there is one special thing in it, he must get it back. Chapter 0032_Distressed Tsunade. The news of Han's arrest spread quickly, and many believed it was a deliberate revenge by the Uchiha tribe. When Han got rid of the suspicion of being a spy, the Uchiha people lost 10,000 taels of rice for stealing chickens without losing money, and it was widely known in a very short period of time. There was no way, everything was carried out in front of everyone's eyes. Some ninjas who had a deep understanding of Uchiha's style firmly believed that it was the Uchiha who wanted to frame Han, but they didn't know what went wrong, resulting in the failure of the frame. Is someone helping Han? There are not a few ninjas who hold this kind of thinking. In their eyes, Han is still the waste, but he is more and more courageous, and he dares to ask the Uchiha for money. Some people started to mourn for Han again, because Han has completely offended the Uchiha people to death, making the Uchiha people lose face in front of everyone. The Uchiha tribe has become the laughingstock of Konoha village. The morning in Konoha village was spent in a hustle and bustle. After Uchiha Goki left with the guard ninja, the onlookers, gathered outside the house quickly dispersed. Tsunade and Jiraiya whispered something, and they all left together. Quiet again. Luhan stood at the door and watched people leave, before returning to the house and closing the door after a while. After the house was turned over, Luhan tidied it up and put down the wooden slumps that had been lifted. Immediately, he wanted to take out all the things he just got from the box, but there were a lot of things, not just money, but after thinking about it, Luhan decided not to watch it for now. Because Tsunade can come over anytime. Lu Han was powerless to complain about this. Tsunade appeared directly in the room every time, completely defenseless. As Lu Han expected, only half an hour later, Tsunade really appeared directly in the room through ninjutsu. Lu Han, who was lying on his back in a daze, sat up all of a sudden. Didn't go to dinner. Tsunade looked at Lu Han with a half-smiling smile. Lu Han's acting skills really opened her eyes and left a deep impression on her. It's not waiting for you to come, I know you're coming. Lu Han looked like a god, but he was joking. Master Tsunade, I want to ask you a question. I have a question too. Tsunade narrowed his eyes slightly. You speak first. Lu Han made a gesture of invitation. How did you do it? Tsunade took 2 steps forward, grabbed Lu Han's collar very gently, pulled it hard, leaned in and said, Little devil, you'd better stop lying to me. Tell me, what are you doing? Did it? What? Lu Han pretended to be stupid. Just now, Uchiha must have put something in that box. Tsunade asked slowly, his fresh breath sprayed on Lu Han's face. So, how did you do it? Make those things disappear suddenly. It was stolen. The weapons my adoptive father left behind are all lost. Lu Han said. I don't believe it. Okay, you don't have to believe it, so now I ask Mr. Tsunade to use his imagination. You tell me. Is there any way to make the things in the box disappear? Lu Han asked back. Tsunade was at a loss for words, which was a difficult question to answer. Master Tsunade, can you let me go first? My collar is wrinkled. Lu Han said again. HMPH. Tsunade snorted softly and slowly let go, still looking thoughtful. She was really suspicious of Lu Han, but she couldn't find the specific direction of her suspicion of Lu Han. It was like she suspected that Lu Han was a spy. You can first make assumptions about how Lu Han collected information and how to transmit information. At least there must be assumptions. Confirm again. At this time, Tsunade couldn't establish a hypothesis on Lu Han, and it was impossible for her to change the contents of the box. Although there are high-level space ninjutsu that can do this, there are too few masters of this kind of ninjutsu, and there are fewer people who can perform this kind of jutsu without hand seal. Tsunade would not believe that Lu Han has this ability. Lord Tsunade doesn't seem to trust me. Lu Han asked with a smile. Tsunade squinted at Lu Han thoughtfully, and admitted generously, but he didn't trust him. Actually, some things are very complicated to explain. Lu Han continued, this is also the reason why I dare not let people know that I am a ninja. However, I can easily prove one thing, and let Master Tsunade disarm me. Quote. What? Tsunade frowned slightly. I will prove my loyalty to Konoha with my actions. Lu Han smiled slightly. Tsunade crossed his arms and looked straight at Lu Han, as if he wanted to see something on Lu Han's face. Let's move on to the next topic. Lu Han raised his hand and gestured. Now, can I ask questions? Ask, Tsunade said. I checked this morning and found out that if you provide a Jonin intelligence clue, the minimum reward is 10,000 taels. Lu Han asked with a strange smile, Master Tsunade, can you tell me why you only gave me 2,000 taels? This is... Tsunade was a little panicked and embarrassed. Master Tsunade won't be greedy for my money, right? Lu Han said in an incredible tone. No, Tsunade insisted, but looked guilty. Then why is there less money? Lu Han asked again. Well, actually, Tsunade has never been so embarrassed. In fact, in her opinion, Lu Han is just a child. Although he has to spend money, it is not necessary to give him too much money. Good thing, she didn't feel any guilt at the time. She never expected that Lu Han would actually go to inquire. It was really embarrassing to be asked by Lu Han in person. Master Tsunade, I'm so disappointed in you. Lu Han looked at Tsunade with sad eyes and shook his head. No, listen to my explanation. Actually, it was an accident. Tsunade hurried. What accident? It's just... Tell me. I lost my bet. Tsunade didn't dare to look at Lu Han. Her face was Yuhi, she really wanted to escape from this room immediately, but her legs were a little stiff. Luhan looked at Tsunade speechlessly. Worthy of being the legendary super big white sheep, Luhan can now imagine the scene where Tsunade went straight to the casino after getting the money, Tsunade who is sure to lose every bet is as deadly as the legend. No one is perfect. Tsunade is excellent in all aspects, but there is one shortcoming: good bet. The atmosphere in the room was weird. For the first time, Tsunade was in a weak position in front of Luhan. Call. Tsunade suddenly hand seal, disappeared into the room, faceless. She wanted to be quiet. HMPH, I caught the little tail. Luhan muttered with a smile. The money wasn't a problem for him. The main thing was that he found a way to restrain Tsunade. After Tsunade left, Luhan determined that Tsunade would not come to him again for a short time, waved his hand, and threw a bunch of things on the table. What the Uchiha tribe put into the box. Luhan began to check the harvest. Chapter 0033_Mystery Token. The first is money, more than 8,000 taels, which is a huge sum of money. It seems that the Uchiha family intends to rely on this money as one of the evidences that Luhan sold intelligence in exchange for compensation. It is impossible to save so much money. 2 pieces of gold utensils, lamps made of gold, and a gold lock, which were supposed to frame Luhan for stealing. Then there are some empty scrolls and 2 scrolls with code texts, which framed Luhan to transmit information to the outside world. A ninja suit, a uniquely shaped knife, an unpatterned mask, a dozen detonation charms, a black cloak, several medicine bottles, blood-stained boots, and a detailed map of Konoha village. There are many things, some of which cannot be used as evidence alone, but if they appear together, they are likely to become a chain of evidence. Luhan rummaged through and looked at each item. All the useless items were thrown back into the space backpack, and the money was put away. Soon, there was one thing left on the table. A black token. The front is a ninja character, and the back is the embossed pattern of the forest. What is this? Luhan frowned slightly, picked up the token, and looked over and over. I can't tell what it is. Judging from the style, it should be some kind of evidence, and it must have some use. Since it is to frame Luhan, it must increase Luhan's suspicion, but Luhan cannot analyze it because of this. The role of the token. Is there an identification? The elf's voice suddenly recalled in Luhan's mind. Appraisal. Luhan was stunned. I still have this ability. The appraisal ability is an automatic activation skill. The condition for activation is that the subversive has enough chakra. At present, the subversive 3665 already has enough chakra, and the appraisal ability is automatically activated. Do you want to authenticate? The elf explained. This way. Identification. Luhan said. 80% of Luhan's total chakra was consumed in an instant. Because of this, Luhan's face turned pale. Text also appeared on the token, Ninja World Black Market Trading Order. It's a black market transaction order. Is it used to enter the black market? Luhan was a little disappointed, and thought it was something amazing. What Luhan didn't know was that the black market transaction order was not only a certificate for trading in the black market, but also the only way to find the location of the black market. The location of the black market was different every time, and it might not even be on land. The opening position of the black market can only be found by relying on the clues provided on the black market trading order. This is a ninja tool. Every time the black market opens, the black market trading order will also change. This thing is precious. There are not many black market trading orders in the entire ninja world. Although some strong people who can be in the ninja world can find the location of the black market without relying on black market trading orders, they are very few after all, and doing so is very time-consuming. Only those who have a black market trading order can quickly find the location of the black market every time the black market opens. Black market trading orders are anonymous, and every year in the ninja world, many ninjas are killed or injured because of the competition for black market trading orders. The reason why Uchiha Gumu put the black market transaction order into the box is to create an illusion that Lu Han's identity is unusual, so as to confirm his identity as a spy. At that time, Uchiha Gumu will naturally have a way to get the token back. Unexpectedly, it was lost. Uchiha Gumu is having a headache now. If he can't find it, he doesn't know how the patriarch will punish him. Lu Han looked at the token again and found it boring, and threw the token back into the space backpack. He really had plans to go to the black market, but not now, so this token is temporarily unavailable. In the afternoon, Lu Han, dressed in a bamboo hat, appeared in the tea house in the north block of Konoha. He was sitting by the window, looking out the window, holding a small book in his hand. Whenever he saw the famous Genin Yuhi spy, Lu Han would be there. Recorded in this book, and wrote some analysis. At dusk, Lu Han appeared in the hut in the mission hall. Here, Lu Han handed 7 or 8 folded sheets of paper to the Anbu ninja at the counter. The masked Anbu ninja took over the pages and looked up immediately. He looked at Lu Han with strange eyes. It was not the first time he was on duty, but it was the first time he encountered someone who could provide so much money at one time. Intelligence. It's getting dark, you have to act quickly, Lu Han said softly. Lu Han handed the information to the Anbu ninja who was in charge of reception, and got the receipt. The receipt was used to exchange for reward money. When Anbu ninja confirmed that the information was valid, Lu Han could exchange the receipt for money. While Lu Han was reporting his business, day after day, the discussion in Konoha village about him and the Uchiha tribe did not go silent, but intensified. The most frequently mentioned is when the Uchiha clan will act next time. No one believes that the Uchiha clan will just let it go. Han has no power, and Uchiha has no reason to spare him. However, on the 4th day after Lu Han was arrested, the voice of discussion suddenly changed. A startling news spreads in the village of Konoha. This afternoon, Lu Han was summoned by the 3rd generation of Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen. In the quaint room, Sarutobi Hiruzen sat cross-legged on a long log, looking calmly ahead. Lu Han was sitting opposite Sarutobi Hiruzen. He didn't seem nervous. In fact, Lu Han was very vigilant. He didn't know why Sarutobi Hiruzen was looking for him, nor what he would do, so he had to guard against it. Tsunade has already told me about you. Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke slowly. Lu Han listened without saying a word. There are still a few days. You are doing very well, you are very talented. Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice is inaudible. You grew up in Konoha. Konoha gave you food and clothing. You can have today, you must know how to be grateful. Quote. Lu Han really wanted to curl the corners of his mouth, but he just thought about it. Perhaps, you have the potential to become an ace scout. Sarutobi Hiruzen paused and asked formally. I want you to join Anbu, do you agree? I would like to do my part for Konoha's safety. Lu Han said. Okay. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. You will join Anbu, but not now, you need some special training before then. Someone will come to you, go ahead. Shortly after Lu Han and Sarutobi Hiruzen finished this conversation, a piece of explosive news spread quickly in Konoha village. Tsunade will accept Han as a direct disciple. Open black lens bracket Ace Scout close black lens bracket. Chapter 0034_Dark Shadow. For 4 days, Konoha has been calm on the surface, but dark tides are surging in the dark. The fact that Lu Han provided a lot of information to the village in a very short period of time also caused a shock in the entire Anbu. The 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen asked many times, and he also learned from Tsunade that Lu Han has special skills in identifying people. Lu Han threw out his vote. Many things are difficult for him to explain or even confess, so Lu Han made preparations. If the top officials of Konoha don't trust him, he will immediately defect from Konoha and go to the Land of Rain to find Conan and others. Fortunately, after that conversation, Sarutobi Hiruzen chose to temporarily trust Lu Han. Reason why it was said to be temporary trust was because Luhan felt that Sarutobi Hiruzen had asked Tsunade to accept him as a disciple and wanted to monitor him. And then he'd be placed in Anbu, still. Anbu is one of the ace forces of Konoha, whose full name is Konoha Assassination Tactical Special Forces. Let Luhan enter Anbu. Sarutobi Hiruzen naturally hopes that Luhan can use it for himself. Of course, if Luhan shows signs of rebellion, Anbu can also deal with Luhan more directly. At dusk, in the vast courtyard, there is a grove on the right, a 2-story low-rise building on the left, and a 3-story main building in the north. This is Tsunade's home. In the main lobby. Tsunade-sensei, can you be a little more shameless? Luhan turned Byakugan towards Tsunade. Today, Luhan has been apprenticed to Tsunade, and his title has changed from an adult to a teacher. Just now, Tsunade made a very shameless request to Luhan, asking for the apprenticeship ceremony. If you don't give it. Tsunade was also cheeky, but Yuhi was not at all embarrassed. Well, the money I owe you before, forget it, write it off, okay. Waiting here, Luhan knew that Tsunade would never repay the money. Can I say no? Luhan said helplessly. Stingy, you've made a few 100,000 taels these days. You're richer than me, is that a little bit worse? Tsunade stretched out his jade finger and pressed Luhan's forehead, puffed up, as if it was as if Luhan had done something wrong. In 4 days, Luhan provided a total of 73 pieces of information on foreign spies to the mission hall. Each piece of information was extremely detailed, and they were all suspicious points that Luhan obtained through counter-reasoning. Capture mission, kill 50 genins and capture 18 genins alive. That's right, it's all genin. The reason why genin was able to escape Anbu's pursuit was because there was a time lag in Luhan's transmission of information. The information he collected at 1 p.m. was sent to the mission hall at dusk. It took a few hours. When Anbu's operation started, the information was recorded by Luhan. The genin spies have probably left Konoha. The intelligence provided by Luhan was all genin, so he wouldn't give Chunin's information to the mission hall. He still wanted to kill him. However, there are fewer and fewer Chunin spies. Luhan killed a lot before. In the past 4 days, he only killed 7 Chunin spies in total, and only got 2 ingots. Encountered level 20 gold boss, so there is no first kill. Tsunade is right, Luhan has indeed earned hundreds of thousands of taels in the past few days, providing genin information. The bounty is between 500 and 2,000, and Luhan has received 2,000 taels for every valid piece of information. Okay, it's too late today, you go back first. Tsunade felt a little amused when he saw Luhan's depressed expression, and said, come to see me tomorrow morning. I still have a question. Luhan said. Say. What did you say to Lord Hokage? Luhan lowered his voice. Why do I feel that Lord Hokage seems to distrust me? Did I do something wrong? Luhan said Tsunade's words. Little liar, as long as you listen to me in the future, Lord Hokage will naturally trust you. Tsunade smiled. Also, you can only officially register as a genin after practicing with me for a month. I know that you have the strength of a genin now. But more than 10 days ago, you were still a waste, and now suddenly becoming a genin will cause doubts. After my training, it will be different, understand? Understood. Luhan said obediently, a smile flashing in his eyes. Genin. Luhan felt that he at least had the strength of a special jonin. You can even fight a real jonin if you refill your chakra with a small basket bottle. In just 10 days, Luhan's growth rate was too frightening. Because Tsunade never saw Luhan kill with his own eyes, Luhan only admitted that he killed genin, and Tsunade also thinks that Luhan now has the power of genin. This has to be done slowly. Luhan must shape himself into an awakened genius and expose his strength in stages. As long as Tsunade can accept Luhan's growth rate, she knows Luhan's doubts and will cover Luhan. Luhan will naturally have a way to make everyone accept his own growth rate. In less than 2 years, the Second Ninja World War will break out completely. The ninja world will enter a period of total war, and many people will die. Lu Han doesn't want to be cannon fodder. Be strong. Become stronger. Han became a direct disciple of Tsunade and officially joined the direct line of Sarutobi Hiruzen. As a result, the focus of discussion in the Konoha village was completely shifted. Before, they were discussing when the Uchiha tribe would make a move, but now they are discussing whether the Uchiha tribe dare to make a move. If the Uchiha clan dared to kill Tsunade's direct disciples, Sarutobi Hiruzen's violent reaction would surely be triggered. It has not been a day or two between the high-level Konoha and the Uchiha tribe. Han suddenly became the key. He may be the starting point for the Uchiha tribe to become docile, or it may be the fuse for the Uchiha tribe to break with the Konoha. In the gloomy grotto, torches were hung on the surrounding walls, and the light jumped and flickered. In front of the ancient stone statue, the black-robed figure was as silent as a sculpture, as if he was concentrating on something, without making a sound, even making people feel his breathing. Call. The whirlwind rolled up, and a figure with a mask on his face and a cloak appeared out of thin air. He knelt down on one knee and made a tone-shifting voice. Sir, you are looking for me. Look for an opportunity to kill Han and put the blame on the Uchiha clan. Haipao said hoarsely. Chapter 0035 Sarutobi Hiruzen wants to kill me. A month later. Tsunade ended his early teaching to Lu Han, and went out with Jiraiya and Orochimaru to perform the mission again. Lu Han also officially became a genin on the same day, and took the ninja forehead of Konoha village. The fact that Lu Han became a genin naturally caused a sensation among some people in Konoha village. Mainly Lu Han's former classmates. They were very angry. How could such a waste Han become a genin? In fact, they are envious, jealous, and hateful. They don't think that Lu Han's becoming a genin depends on his own efforts. That's all thanks to Tsunade-sama. Tsunade is a direct disciple of 3 generations of Hokage, a genius ninja who became famous as a teenager, the most talented medical ninja since the establishment of Konoha, and an existence that ordinary people can only look up to. In her hands, even a dog, she can be a genin. While that's not the case, many people think so. Lu Han can become a genin only because his teacher is Tsunade. At dusk, the sun sets in the west, and the sky is full of yuhi. In the downtown area, the second floor of the noodle restaurant is by the window. Lu Han was eating ramen again. There was a lot of noise in the noodle restaurant, and many people were talking about him. What a lucky guy to be appreciated by Tsunade-sama, it's really a step to the sky. Yeah, to say that this little devil is also pitiful, an orphan, whose adoptive father died early, lived alone for so many years, and caused such a big trouble some time ago. It's been a month, and the Uchiha clan hasn't made any noise. It's probably cowardly, huh? There were several ninjas sitting around the table in the right corner, and they were talking in a low voice. When Lu Han heard them talking about him, he couldn't help but look up. One of the ninjas at the table also noticed Lu Han's gaze. He smiled kindly at Lu Han. It's good to have a backer. Lu Han muttered. He knew that many ninjas were kind to him, not because they sympathized with him, but because he was a disciple of Tsunade. What shit, humph. What if you're a genin? Not a coward. More than a coward, it's so shameless. A discordant voice suddenly appeared and came from another direction. Lu Han knew that they were talking about him, but he didn't look up. He had heard these words a lot recently and was too lazy to pay attention to them. Coward, what are you eating? A crisp voice suddenly sounded from the side. Huh. Lu Han raised his head, but it was Hyuga Luoning standing pretty at the table, looking like he was here to eat. Lu Han glanced at Hyuga Luoning and then lowered his head to eat. He didn't bother to pay attention to this guy. Hey, those guys scold you, aren't you angry? Hyuga Luoning sat down opposite Lu Han naturally and asked with her chin in one hand. I don't quarrel with NPCs, so don't quarrel if you can. Lu Han said. What is NPC? Hyuga Luoning asked. She naturally didn't understand what NPC meant. I'm eating, Don't worry about it, okay? Luhan raised his head and tilted his head towards Hyuga Luo Ning with an expression of pleading. Yo, are you very temperamental? Hyuga Luo Ning laughed, and began to mock Luhan ruthlessly. You are so temperamental, why don't you dare to duel with Uchiha Fugaku? I heard that you brought it up in the first place, why did you do it again? Are you too timid to fight? That's right, the reason why Luhan was ridiculed as a coward is because he refused to duel with Uchiha Fugaku. The second day after Luhan came to this world, in order to delay the time, he challenged Uchiha Fugaku, but just 10 days ago, when the appointed time came, the Uchiha tribe sent someone to look for Luhan, but Luhan directly refused. So the story spread. In fact, most people did not ridicule Luhan for this. At that time, Luhan was not even a ninja. Uchiha Fugaku was Chunin. The two were dueling. Uchiha Fugaku was bullying, shameless. But there are still people who always bring this up to ridicule Luhan, such as some ninjas from the Uchiha faction, and Hyuga Luo Ning, who is unhappy with Luhan. He's too weak, it's boring to fight. Luhan said lightly. Blow, shameless. Hyuga Luo Ning looked at Luhan contemptuously. You are a coward, don't deny it. Luhan stopped talking and ate the noodles. Hyuga Luo Ning, who was ignored, was very annoyed, her small fist clenched tightly, staring at Luhan. Luhan was so calm, completely treating Hyuga Luo Ning as air. In the end, Hyuga Luo Ning snorted coldly, got up and walked out, looking angry. Why didn't anyone take a chain to tie her up? What should I do if I bite someone? Luhan muttered, then raised his head and waved to the man, another big portion of beef. When Luhan walked into the noodle shop, it was already dark. Luhan walked through the hustle and bustle of the street, away from the lights of the busy city, and soon entered a forest path leading to his home. The moon had come out, and the woods were dark. I'll take the task tomorrow, go out and experience it once, that's all. Luhan was walking, and suddenly clapped his hands. He thought about it all the way and made a decision. The past month, the number of foreign spies in Konoha village has become less and less, and they have almost disappeared recently. It is all thanks to Luhan. He reported the Genin spies and killed the Chunin spies himself, which made him a lot of money, but also let him he has no opponent. Luhan was accumulating ingots and never returned to the subversive space, and this month, he only saved 6 ingots in total, and the 2 he got 4 days before his apprenticeship was only 8 in total. Because there is no first kill, the ingot explosion rate is particularly low. So Luhan decided to go out. Outside of Konoha, there are a lot of wild monsters in the vast world. My current chakra volume is twice that of a month ago. There is still a gap compared to Jonin. I still need to work hard. This is my biggest problem. I don't know how effective the psychoactive medicine is. Luhan walked away while thinking. Sudden. Luhan saw that there was a line of Yuhi-colored characters on the tree in front of him. Because it was dark night, and the trees were blocking the leaves, Luhan couldn't see people, only the Yuhi characters that must be displayed in Luhan's eyes. Luhan was taken aback for a moment, his face remained calm. The reason why he was stunned was because the big Yuhi name was not a foreign ninja, nor a Uchiha ninja, but a Konoha ninja that Luhan had never communicated with. Anbu Special Mobile Unit, Level 30 Bronze Boss, Asada Kua. Yuhi name Jonin. Sarutobi Hiruzen is going to kill me. Luhan thought subconsciously. A ninja whose name should be orange has become Yuhi, and is squatting on the only way for Luhan to go home. Luhan knew that he was here to kill him. Chapter 0036_Moon Valley. Luhan walked forward with the same expression on his face, getting closer and closer to Tianqiao Tianjuhe. When Luhan found him, he was only 50 meters away. With Luhan's walking speed, he could not think for more than 20 seconds. Anbu Special Mobile Unit. Luhan always felt that the name seemed familiar. It seemed to have appeared in the original book, but he couldn't remember it for a while. Asa Tianjuhe squatted on the tree, wearing a black cloak and a mask on his face, Still like a sculpture, only his eyes were slowly turning, and his eyes kept chasing Lu Han. Cold and lifeless, he was there, but he didn't seem to be there. I have to admit that if Lu Han didn't have a pair of eyes that could see a character's name, he wouldn't have been able to spot this guy. Anbu, Jonin, killer. As Lu Han walked, his thoughts turned sharply. He had to come up with the best solution. Snapped. Lu Han suddenly stopped. He was still 10 meters away from the big tree where Chao Shenju and the hiding place were hidden. This was a distance from which he could launch an attack, but for Lu Han, it was also a safe distance, because he knew, when the ninjas trained by Anbu perform assassination missions, they usually pursue one-hit kills, and they regard one-hit kills as glory. A distance of 10 meters is still too far. The night was thick, dark clouds covered the moon, and the woods suddenly became dark again. Only Lu Han's eyes were bright. The sculptural Acitian Juhei still didn't change. It was abnormal for Lu Han to stop, but he didn't think that Lu Han had discovered him. It was impossible, so Lu Han must have stopped for other reasons, such as thinking about things in a trance. He stopped subconsciously. I saw you, Lu Han said suddenly. Lu Han's voice, who had not yet reached the stage of voice change, was filled with a hint of childishness. It was this voice that made Chao Shenju and all the hairs on his body explode, and his pupils contracted violently. Did he see me? Call. Chao Shenjuhei is like the legendary ghost of the night, fast like the wind. A glimpse of a shadow jumps out of the tree and goes straight to Lu Han. Knife light flashes. Lu Han quickly hand seal. Clam clap tilde. Asada Juhei's knife swiped heavily on the ground, making a harsh sound. The blade rubbed against the sand on the ground, and even brought a stream of sparks. The position he hit was where Lu Han had just stood. The moment before he rushed towards him like a ghost, Lu Han, who had completed the hand seal, disappeared in place. Nearly 100 meters to the south, there are chakra fluctuations. The basic teleportation distance of the teleportation technique is not far, and the chakra fluctuation is exactly what happened when Lu Han appeared. Chao Tianjuhei completed the positioning in an instant, sprinted like a cannonball, and went straight to an altitude of more than 10 meters. He looked at the direction of Lu Handen's escape, completed the hand seal in the air, and appeared in the vicinity of Lu Han the next moment. Chase. Mission must be done. Otherwise, he is the one who will die. It stands to reason that in the face of Anbu Jonin's pursuit, the most important thing Lu Han should do at this time is to go to the downtown area, where the lights are bright, people are coming and going, it is not long before night, and the troubled area is when it is lively. When you get there, you can naturally escape the danger. But Lu Han didn't do it, he was moving out of Konoha village. Fortunately, all of Master Lu Han's ninjutsu are obtained through scrolls, which guarantees Lu Han's hand seal speed. The basic Shunshu hand seal, Lu Han does not need a second, although he uses Shunshu continuously. Chakra consumption was huge, but it was enough for Lu Han to leave Konoha before being caught up. Sandame. Is it him? Is it his order? Uchiha's hand couldn't have reached Anbu, they couldn't have mobilized Anbu's ninjas to kill me. Jonin, I can finally fight Jonin. Lu Han seemed to have entered a unique state. He was fleeing frantically, and at the same time, his mind was very clear. Some thoughts flashed through his mind quickly. Finally, after completing the flashback again, Lu Han appeared directly in the forest south of Konoha village. Lu Han didn't stop, and continued to use the instant body technique. He wants to stay away from Konoha village. But it's not running away, he just wants to find a place where no one is disturbed, and fight with Jonin at full power. Lu Han also really wanted to know how far his current strength has reached. Acitian Juhei has been following Lu Han closely. With Lu Han's strength, it is impossible to get rid of him. According to the previous information of Acitian Ju and the Master, Lu Han should be just a genin with outstanding strength. At this time, he already understood that the information was wrong. Lu Han is by no means a genin, at least a chunin. But it doesn't matter. He just wanted to kill Lu Han. In the vast forest, To ordinary people, it is almost pitch black. Two figures chase and flee, and the surrounding trees are getting taller and denser. Damn it. Sure enough, chakra is not enough, it can't compare with this kind of Jonin. Luhan's chakra was already insufficient, and he quickly took out a small blue bottle to drink it while holding the seal with one hand. I remember the first time Luhan used the small blue bottle, Chakrado almost burst his body. But this time, only 50% of Luhan's chakra is replenished. This is because Luhan's strength has increased, the total amount of chakra has increased, and the amount of chakra that can be replenished by the small blue bottle is constant. In the south-central part of the Land of Fire, a valley surrounded by low kiba-shaped mountains. This is a famous place for viewing the scenery in the country of fire. It is called the Moon-shaped Valley. There are small lakes, forests, and some strange rocks in the valley. Every July, the flowers bloom here, and there will always be people coming. This play. Call. Luhan suddenly appeared on the lake surface in the moon-shaped valley, and the next moment, the lake surface quickly gathered thick fog. Asada Ju and the ghosts generally appeared by the lake, immediately made a judgment, jumped up and quickly hand seal. Sweden, water style, breakthrough. Asada Juhei's voice was cold and not like a human. Boom tilde. Asada Juhei spit out a large amount of water, hitting the dense fog on the lake surface. The fog is composed of small water droplets. To break the fog, you only need to fill the gaps between the water droplets with more water. Hua Asada's attack worked. The mist on the lake rapidly diminished, like a melted marshmallow. Kai. The 5 kunai suddenly shot out of the thick fog that had not disappeared, and the speed was outrageous. Chapter 0037_Luhan vs Asada Juhei. Clang. Asatien Juhei is holding a knife and slashing kunai hard. His knife is extremely fast, and every knife is extremely precise, but he underestimated the power of kunai's shot. Every time he chops off a kunai, he has to take a step back. Take 5 steps back. Kaden, fire style, dragon flame jutsu. Luhan, who turned into a shadow, sprang out of the thick fog, spewing a line of fire from his mouth. Asatien Juhei, who took 5 steps back in a row, jumped up in an instant, throwing a kunai in his hand back. Luhan turned around in the air, dodging the kunai attack in a thrilling manner, and threw a kunai with his backhand again. This blow still didn't work. Chaoshan Juhei cut it directly again, but this gave Luhan a chance to breathe, and Luhan landed on the lake smoothly. Asada Juhei was shocked in his heart. In just a short fight, Luhan's strength has completely broken all previous judgments of Asatien Ju and all the previous judgments. Whether it is the timing of the attack when launching the first counterattack, or the ability to respond to the air, it is like a long battle of ninjas. Asada Juhei originally thought it was a very boring task, but he didn't expect it to be so interesting. Who asked you to kill me? Lu Leng stared at the masked Asatien Juhei. Chaoshan Juhei didn't speak. His body was illusory for a moment, and the next moment he appeared in front of Luhan. His speed was as fast as thunder, and the blade slashed furiously. Luhan returned the knife to greet him, and the 2 knives were intertwined like 2 lightning bolts in the night. The 2 started a cold weapon showdown between you and me. Knife technique. For ninjas, only in the Genin and Chunin period, swordsmanship is extremely important, and for those who have reached the strength of Jonin, ninjutsu is king. Therefore, except for some tribes with swordsmanship heritage, the ninjas of other tribes, Jonin's swordsmanship skills are not necessarily stronger than Chunin. Even some ninjas gave up using knives after becoming Jonin, and only relying on ninjutsu is no worse than Jonin who can use knives. Jonin is Jonin after all, though. They have stronger fighting consciousness, richer experience, and more vigorous chakra. Valley, lake, 2 people. Life and death duel. Luhan had never been under such pressure, because he felt that the person standing opposite him was not a human, but a cold-killing machine. With Luhan's strange power in his hands, The power of each knife was enough to break stone and break gold. Asa Tianjuhe has never fallen behind. Lu Han's chakra consumption is even greater, because the use of strange power also requires chakra. This guy chased me all the way, performed ninjutsu again, and fought with me for so long without showing the slightest tiredness. How many chakras does he have? I can't go on like this, I can't beat him with a knife. Boom. Lu Han seemed to have made a mistake. Chaoshan Juhei cut Lu Han's body, and then white smoke rose. The cut Lu Han turned into a stone, and the real Lu Han appeared under a tree not far away. Kaden, fire style, great fireball jutsu. The scorching fireball with a diameter of 2 meters blasted towards Tianjuhe like a cannonball. Sweden, water style, water formation wall. Asada Juhei spit out a large amount of water, and the water formed a solid barrier around Asada Juhei, completely resisting the attack of the grand fireball. The great fireball jutsu is the signature ninjutsu of the Uchiha clan, and Lu Han actually used it. Asada Juhei and doesn't care, he doesn't want to know why. The original intention remains unchanged. Kill Lu Han. Asada Juhei quickly hand-sealed in the water formation wall, disappeared instantly, appeared behind Lu Han, and stabbed Lu Han directly in the back of his heart. Kai. Stabbed. But it's not the real Lu Han, just an ordinary clone. This clone Jonin can easily see the flaws. This is because the rhythm of this battle is too fast. There was a collision of ninjutsu before, and the night was covered, and it was a fluke. To Asada Kua. Die. Lu Han jumped down from the tree and stabbed the top of Chaoshan Juhei's head. Asada Juhei directly leaned back and slashed backhand. Poochie, poochie. 2 blood flowers splattered almost at the same time, clang clang clang. It was another 3 knife collisions. Lu Han stepped on the tree trunk with 1 foot, turned over and quickly moved away from Chaoshan Juhei, pulling a distance of more than 10 meters before landing. Chaoshan Juhei didn't immediately chase after Lu Han, but looked down at his shoulder, the slap-long wound, the flesh and blood, still bleeding. Lu Han also squinted at his left arm, a blood hole. In the confrontation just now, the two were injured almost at the same time, and they didn't seem to take advantage of it. In fact, Chaoshan Juhei had a chance to dodge Lu Han's knife just now, but he didn't. He wanted to exchange his injury for his life. Kill Lu Han at the cost of his own injury. But it didn't work. He was injured, but he only stabbed Lu Han. Can you say something? Isn't it boring to fight like this? Lu Han looked at Chaoshan Juhei again. In fact, he really wanted to analyze something from Chaoshan Juhei's few words, but Chaoshan Juhei never said anything. Talk. You are very strong. Chaoshan Juhei's eyes were dark and his voice was extremely cold. Perhaps because of the injury, his mood changed before he spoke. Each other. Lu Han raised his eyebrows and moved his injured arm at the same time. In fact, it doesn't matter to him to be injured. His physique is special, so this kind of injury really doesn't matter. It's just that Lu Han doesn't like to rely on the particularity of his body to win the battle. That would make him slack, always relying on his particularity to trade his serious injury for the chance to kill the opponent. In this way, you won't get the training you deserve, and it's a waste of talent and life. The special body is the guarantee that Lu Han is difficult to be killed in battle, but it is not the key to victory. Lu Han prefers to kill every enemy with domineering attacks, superb skills, and deceptive tactics full of wisdom. The two stared at each other for a long time. Asada Juhei was trying to stop the bleeding, and Lu Han was waiting for the wound to heal. Your last words. Asada Kua finally spoke again. Arrogant. Lu Han grinned. The two of them received their knives at the same time and quickly hand-seal. Who is faster than whom? Doden, Earth Style, Rock Cage Sand Cover. Kaden, Fire Style, Phoenix Sage Fire Technique. Earthquake. One after another rock walls burst out from the ground and quickly surrounded Lu Han, at the same time. Lu Han spit out the C, rank ninjutsu function fire of LV9 ultimate power. Chapter 0038 _ Terrible Power and Terrible Will. B-level ninjutsu, Doden Earth Style Rock Cage Sand Cover. This is a very aggressive Doden Earth Style ninjutsu. The ninjutsu release process is divided into two stages. In the first stage, a circle of rock walls will rise from the ground, forming a circle to trap the enemy in the middle. In the stage, within the circular rock wall, quicksand surging upwards from the ground engulfs the target enemy, using the gravity of a large amount of sand to directly crush the target to death. This move is very cruel and difficult to avoid. The disadvantage is that it can only attack a few enemies at a time, and it cannot form a large-scale effective attack. Die. Asatien Juhei murmured subconsciously. He wanted to kill Lu Han too much, and this was the strongest Doden Earth-style ninjutsu he mastered, and he couldn't remember the first time he used it. One trick to kill the enemy. Few people can avoid this move, because the towering and erected rock walls are abnormally strong, blocking the enemy's escape route, and if they jump up and flee, it is not necessarily faster than the surging quicksand. Call. A fire broke out in the circular rock wall, and Asatien Juhei looked indifferently. It was impossible for the Phoenix Sage fire technique to break the rock wall, and just a moment later, Asatien Juhei's eyes stared violently, his expression horrified. LV9 Ultimate Kaden Fire Style Phoenix Sage Fire Technique. A terrifying power erupted. The oval-shaped fireballs the size of a grinding disc were continuously shot out. The first fireball cracked the rock wall, and the second one directly bombarded the rock wall and collapsed, and flames surged out of the circular sky. Lu Han was as swift as a cheetah. Just before being engulfed by the surging quicksand, Lu Han sprang out of the circular rock wall, spewing fireballs from his mouth. He is like a flame war god reborn in the Jedi, exuding a frightening aura. Boom, 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 boom. Fireballs bombarded the ground continuously, blasting the ground one after another with a diameter of nearly 3 meters. Chaoshan Juhei with a terrified look retreated, jumping and dodging in succession. It could even be said that he fled in a panic. He was the one who completed the hand seal first. He thought he had the first opportunity to kill Lu Han directly, but he was wrong. Lu Han broke his B-level ninjutsu and rushed out to launch continuous attacks on him. The fuck is Feng Shanwo? Asada's perception of Kaden fire style ninjutsu has completely collapsed. But he didn't care so much, and changed his position as quickly as possible. Lu Han's Phoenix Sage fire technique, the power of each fireball should exceed the general grand fireball, and it is faster. More. It seems to be endless. Asada Juhei is already crazy. Avatars. Instant. Move at high speed. Instant jump. Dodge dodge. Finally, he found the opportunity to perform ninjutsu. A moment of respite. Doden Earth Style Earth Flow Wall. A thick and sturdy rock earth wall suddenly sprang up in front of Asada Juhei. Immediately afterwards, 3 consecutive fireballs bombarded it, and the earth flow wall was directly smashed by the bombardment. Asada Juhei, who was hiding behind, was engulfed by the broken rock and flames that erupted, as if he had been hit by a train. Flew out. The figure of the black cloak crossed an arc in the air, slammed heavily on the ground dozens of meters away, and rolled 5 or 6 meters before it stopped completely. The flame burns directly to death. Boom, boom. The last 2 fireballs landed, and the Phoenix Sage fire technique was released. A total of 21 oval fireballs the size of a grinding disc attacked. Incredible terrifying power. The land on this side of the lake shore seems to have been turned over as a whole, becoming uneven and anxious. Lu Han landed on the site where the earth flow wall was destroyed, panting violently. He was wrong. Before, he thought that Phoenix Sage fire technique was AC level ninjutsu, and even if it reached LV9, it would not consume too much chakra, but now he already knows that this is wrong, and the consumption of LV9 Phoenix fire chakra consumes the amount as 3 times that of the LV1 Fengxian fire. Still, it's a good deal. If you perform B-level 55-1 ninjutsu with the same power as LV9 Fengxianwo, the consumption of chakra is at least 6 or 7 times that of LV1 Fengxianwo. Triple the difference. 6 or 7 times the difference. In this comparison, it still saves chakra a lot. With the same power, Lu Han can at least save more than half of the chakra. It's not dead yet. Lu Hanyao looked at Chaoshan Juhei lying on the ground. Sharingan appeared and disappeared in his eyes. He saw Chaoshan Juhei was still breathing, struggling to get up. ... No, it's impossible. It must be another technique, not Feng Shanwo. Am I going to die here today? At the hands of this kid? Is this my destiny? Asatian Juhei was lying on the ground, looking extremely miserable. His clothes were tattered, and the broken rock and soil that had just splashed out was like a sharp knife, tearing all his clothes, armor and cloak. There was blood all over his body, his chest was suffocated, and he didn't know how many ribs were broken. He kept vomiting blood from his mouth, and his body trembled. Lu Han walked to Chaoshan Juhei with his knife in hand, and asked indifferently, "Tell me, who is going to kill me?" Asada Juhei looked up at the starry sky. His eyes seemed to be gazing at a certain star, next to the lake, the sound of water waves bursting. For a long time, Chaoshan Juhei's mouth moved slightly, as if he wanted to say something, but he couldn't say it. He was going to die. Lu Han could feel that Chaoshan Juhei's breath had disappeared, and he was likely to die in the next second. Expire. Tell me. Lu Han immediately crouched down and asked eagerly, "Who wants me to die? Who is it?" Asatian Juhei opened his mouth and made a voice that Lu Han couldn't hear at all. Lu Han frowned and turned his ears to listen. At this time, a sense of crisis instantly enveloped Lu Han, and Chaoshan Juhei didn't know where the strength came from, so he raised his hand and hit Lu Han. Puchi. The sharp kuwu pierced Lu Han's abdomen. Chaoshan Juhei maintained the posture of holding the kuwu thorn Lu Han, and his eyes lost all vigor at that moment. Lu Han felt the pain. In fact, he should have been able to dodge the blow, but he didn't. Because he was shocked. What kind of firm will and what kind of terrifying belief made Chaoshan Juhei want to kill Lu Han until his death? The golden light is shining. Venus all over the sky. With the death of Asatian Juhei, a vision that only happened in the first kill appeared. Dozens of items spewed out of Asada Juhei like Izumi, and scattered all over the place. Lu Han also heard the elf's reminder in his ears. Sound. Ding. Congratulations to Subversive 3665 for the first kill of a level 30 bronze boss. Chapter 0039_Rich Harvest. Lu Han stood up slowly, pulled out the kuwu stuck in his abdomen and threw it on the ground. He looked at Chaoshan Juhei's body and thought for a long time. First killed the level 30 bronze boss, because Lu Han has the ability to automatically pick up, so Lu Han does not need to pick up those rewards one by one. Those dropped items will be automatically drilled into Lu Han's body as a streamer after 3 seconds. The body actually entered the space backpack. Lu Han squatted down again. The mask on Chaoshan Juhei's face was partially broken, but it still covered most of his face. Lu Han took off the mask. A young guy. Looking at his face, he was in his early 20s. It's really hard to imagine what he has gone through to become so cold and become a killing machine, even without his own independent personality, and will not give up killing the target until death. Anbu Special Mobile Force. Is it the 3rd generation? Is it someone he sent? Lu Han walked to the lake and sat down with his legs crossed, facing the sparkling water, facing the full moon in the sky, and fell into thinking. This is what he has to think about. If the mastermind behind the scenes is the 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, then Lu Han will not be able to return to Konoha village. He has not yet had the strength to compete with Sarutobi Hiruzen, and he understands that Sarutobi Hiruzen did this kind of thing with his permission. But the question is it him? If the mastermind behind the scenes is not Sarutobi Hiruzen, Lu Han will naturally return to Konoha. He has just established his personal connections in Konoha, and it is impossible to give up because of some danger. Valley, lake, under the full moon. One person, one corpse, one scorched. The silent Lu Han seems to be integrated into this world. He is thinking about the future road. Let's see what I got first. Lu Han couldn't figure out what to do. With a wave of his hand, more than 40 items were placed in front of him. He was the first to kill a level 30 bronze boss, and he got an unprecedented reward. 44 dropped items in total. Kuna x6, Fine Shuriken times 5, Fine Long Sword times 2, Small Yuhi Bottle times 5, Large Yuhi Bottle times 5, Medium Yuhi Bottle times 1, Big Blue Bottle times 1. These add up to a total of 25. Luhan got the Big Yuhi Bottle and the Big Blue Bottle for the first time. He took a look and put them away first. C-Class Ninjutsu, Kaden Fire Style Great Fireball Jutsu, Kaden Fire Style Dragon Flame Jutsu, Kaden Fire Style Fire Bullet, Sweetened Water Style Water Double Jutsu, Sweetened Water Style Water Body Technique, Sweetened Water Style Wild Water Wave Technique, Sweetened Water Style Water Prison Technique, Doden Earth Style Soil Dummy Technique, Doden Earth Style Earth Wall. There are 9 types of C-rank ninjutsu. Class B Ninjutsu, Doden Earth Style Gaelong Sand Cover, Sweetened Water Style Water Formation Wall. There are 2 types of B-rank ninjutsu. Physical Art and Magical Power. Secret Art of Shadow Flash. A psychoactive drug. 5 ingots. Killing a level 30 bronze boss is undoubtedly extremely rich. Although he did not get the A-level ninjutsu scrolls that may be dropped, Luhan also obtained 2 B-level ninjutsu scrolls, including nearly killing Luhan. The Rock Cage Sand Cover is a ninjutsu not mentioned in the original work. There was a plot in the original work, saying that Hitaki Kakashi used Sharingan to copy thousands of ninjutsu, and the techniques mentioned in the original work together, there are not thousands of them. This has been explained. Not mentioned does not mean that there is no. Luhan was very impressed with sand covered by Rock Cage. If it weren't for the great power of his Phoenix Sage fire technique and his continuous and rapid attacks, he would probably not be able to rush out and be swallowed by a huge amount of quicksand and crushed to death. Shadow Flash. Luhan suddenly frowned, but he picked up the scroll of the secret technique first. This was the first time he had obtained the scroll of the secret technique. After thinking about it, Luhan directly used the scroll. Acquire the secret art, Shadow Flash. Luhan quickly hand seal. This seal is very complicated. Luhan changed more than 30 gestures to complete the hand seal. When he completed the hand seal, nothing happened, but Luhan consumed a lot of chakra. He also felt something strange on his body. He immediately rolled up his sleeves and looked at his left forearm. There was a ripple on it. Traces, black, like twisted lightning. Ninjutsu mark. Luhan seemed to understand something, and mobilized chakra to trigger the mark. Call. Luhan disappeared in place, from the shore of the lake to the body of Chaoshin Juhei in an instant. At a distance of more than 10 meters, Luhan flashed past, as fast as lightning. It was this. Luhan suddenly remembered that when he was fighting with Asati and Juhei, Asati and Juhei once rushed in front of him in an instant, incredibly fast. He should have used this technique. The reason why Asata Juhei was able to directly activate this secret technique shows that he already had a ninjutsu mark on his body before. This is a relatively complicated technique. It belongs to a kind of shunshishu. It is more advanced than the basic shunshishu. The chakra required to form a ninjutsu mark is 12 times that of the basic shunshishu. Chakra consumption is huge. But I have to admit that this technique is very practical. It can be prepared in advance to avoid assassination, or to assassinate the enemy. Why does it mean Hiraishin? It's not. Hiraishin is a space-type instant ninjutsu. This is a speed type, and the ninjutsu mark hits him. It must be inferior to Hiraishin. Luhan thought again. Walk back to the lake. As for Hiraishin, Luhan naturally wants to get it very much. This is the signature ninjutsu of the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobarama, which he also created. I don't know how to get this kind of ninjutsu. If it is directly exchanged from the subversive space, the ingots required are estimated to be terrifyingly high. Luhan sat down by the lake, opened the scrolls one by one and used them all. 9C level, 2B level, physical magic power, all of them, and 5 ingots, which Luhan threw into the space backpack. Only one thing left. Psychotherapy. The potion worth 10 ingots was Lu Han's biggest reward for killing a level 30 bronze boss this time. I don't know how much spiritual strength can be improved. The stronger the spiritual strength, the more chakra can be extracted from the body. Lu Han thought, opened the bottle and drank it in one gulp. A feeling of eating mince. Lu Han felt a coolness in his entire head. When the feeling passed, Lu Han noticed that his thinking seemed to be faster. He immediately performed a chakra refinement and made a judgment. Chapter 0040 Is he the mastermind behind the scenes? Doubled the total amount of chakra. Lu Han was overjoyed. The spirit potion was really powerful. Because Lu Han has been practicing for a period of time, the total amount of chakra is different from the original one. He was able to increase the total amount of chakra several times in just 1 month because of his chakra a month ago. The total carrot is too small. Unlike now, his total chakra is at least enough to compare with excellent Chunin, and even special Jonin. In this case, if you want to double the total amount of chakra, it may take several months if you rely solely on practice. Therefore, this bottle of spiritual potion has saved Lu Han several months of penance. With a few more bottles, my total chakra should be comparable to that of Asati and Juhei. Thinking of this, Lu Han felt the pressure again. There is still a gap. Not to mention anything else, Lu Han used 3 small blue bottles along the way from the village. Before the battle officially started, Lu Han used it again in the thick fog, and then he fought with Asati and Juhei in a life-and-death battle. Asada Juhei has never supplemented chakra, and in the battle of life and death, he used B-level ninjutsu many times, and he did not show exhaustion until he died. Lu Han speculated that Chaoshin Juhei's total amount of chakra was at least 5 to 6 times his own. Late at night, Lu Han walked to Chaoshin Juhei again and looked at the still young face. Asada Juhei is undoubtedly an excellent Jonin. Although he does not have the strength of an elite Jonin, he is not comparable to an ordinary Jonin who has just been promoted from Chunin to Jonin. Lu Han fought with him and gained a lot. Lu Han realized that the speed of his hand seal was not fast enough. He was almost trapped by the circular rock wall, and he was negligent, giving Chaoshin Juhei a chance to strike before he died. And if Asati and Juhei underestimated the power of Lu Han's ninjutsu, the outcome of the two would be hard to say. You are the first Jonin I killed, I will remember you. Lu Han's words were very human, but then, he squatted down and rummaged through Chaoshin Juhei inhumanly. The goose has plucked its hair. No money. Kunai is a lot. Huh, what is this? Lu Han turned over to a bag that seemed to be made of some kind of animal skin. It had a wide and long slap, similar to a fanny pack, and was tied to Asada Juhei's back waist. The bag was strong and did not receive any frontal impact. Not damaged, just a little charred on the outside. Take this with you, Lu Han muttered, untied the bag, wound the rope around it, and opened the bag. There are a few things in there. The half-broken blade has a special print on the blade. A piece of fabric the size of a palm with a white and white pattern of yuhi printed on it. A glass bottle containing a yuhi-colored liquid. Lu Han first picked up the cloth with a special pattern. The pattern on it looked familiar, like a fan. It's an incomplete fan sign, because the fabric is incomplete and looks like it's ripped from some piece of clothing with a fan pattern on it. Uchiha clan emblem. Lu Han frowned and blinked thoughtfully. What's in the bottle? Lu Han opened the bottle again, and immediately closed it again. He already knew what it was, blood. The moment he opened it, he smelled blood. Look at that truncating blade. The steel used is special, and the printing on it is very unique. It looks like a part of a certain clan's standard weapon. The reason for this speculation is that ordinary weapons have bright blades without printing, only some tribes or forces. We'll make this weapon with a special print. Cloth, Uchiha. If the print on this half of the blade is the same as the print on the standard weapons used by the Uchiha, then this bottle of blood may also come from the Uchiha. He's from Anbu, and he's definitely not under the control of the Uchiha clan, but he came to kill me today, and he didn't even bring any money with him, but brought these things, then. If I died, he would. Luhan thought, his eyes suddenly brightened, he stood up abruptly and said, he is going to frame the Uchiha clan. It is pointed out that the Uchiha clan killed me, these things are the evidence that he wants to stay at the battle scene. Luhan seemed to have caught a clue, and the question he had been thinking about suddenly seemed to have an eyebrow. Sandemu wants to kill me to frame the Uchiha clan. No, no, it is said in the original book that this is the time when the Uchiha clan is most powerful in Konoha, and the war is about to break out. Although Sandemu Hokage is very wary of the Uchiha clan, but it is impossible to choose this time to break with the Uchiha clan. He is a person who has a great view of the overall situation, and it is impossible to take the initiative to trouble the Uchiha clan now. That's... Yes. It's him. Luhan suddenly thought of someone. A very important character in the original Hokage, a Konoha anti-hero. This person has an incomparable loyalty to Konoha, but greedy for power, bent on becoming Hokage. It's him. In the original book, he single-handedly planned to destroy the Uchiha clan. It's him. Has the greatest wariness of the Uchiha clan. No one wanted to get rid of the Uchiha more than he did. It's him. The second person in Konoha village is currently serving as the Hokage assistant. Danzo. Anbu Special Mobile Force. I am really a pig brain. Anbu is divided into two parts. One part is the Assassination Tactical Special Force, and the other part is Anbu's underground organization, the Anbu Training Department. The official name is the Anbu Special Mobile Force. There is also a symbol, the name of sex, roots. Luhan knows that the root is not under the control of Hokage nor Anbu, so the members of the root only obey one person, that is Danzo. Asada Juhei, cold as a machine, emotionless, with an inhuman will. That's exactly what the root member is about. If you analyze it in this direction, all the mysteries will be solved. Danzo is the messenger behind the scenes, murdering and blaming the Uchiha tribe. This makes the Hokage lineage and the Uchiha clan have a greater conflict, and may even lead to a break between Uchiha and Konoha. He sent someone to kill Luhan, not because he had grudges against Luhan, but the real target was the Uchiha clan. Danzo, I haven't seen you yet, bastard. Luhan muttered, turned abruptly, and looked in the direction of Konoha village.